This week on the show, we are halfway through 2025, so we're giving you our Game of the Year list so far, and also diving into what awesome games the rest of the year has to offer. All this and more on this week's HGO podcast. Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the HGO podcast. One of your hosts, Ethan, and joining me, as always, is my good friend. He is out of the Kojima prison, just on parole for a little bit. It is Hunter. Hey, Hunter, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing just swell.
Has Kojima got you in his grasp like he has me right now? Because I swear to
He's
God,
had me in his grasp my whole life.
Dude, my life right now is I wake up, I unfortunately have to go to work, then I come home and then I start my second shift as a porter, and I do that for about 5 hours every single day. Will I ever see the end of this video game, ladies and gentlemen? I don't think I will. I think I will just continue doing all this, on and on and on, until the sun sets. It feels crazy because it like that game just is a time sink. It's just you go in and you're like, I'm just gonna play for a little bit, and then you come out like 4 hours later having done nothing, but you're not progressed the story an inch. You're just keeping on, and it's like, oh, this is what the greatest game ever made. What a game, dude! What a game.
It's such a good game.
I'm sure we'll be talking about it more in a bit, but we're taking a quick break from our deep dive into Death Stranding 2 to talk about everything else. It's that time of the year, ladies and gentlemen, where we come together and we talk about the games that have come out so far, and also the games still to come. It's our little halfway point, our little how we're feeling, our little vibe check on how we're feeling the year is going so far. Because I don't know about you, Hunter. I think it's a very interesting year because there's been a lot of highs. You know, there's been games that have come out of nowhere that are, now front runners to winning Game of the Year. There are indie darlings already halfway through, with another one or two expected to show up probably in the second half. But you've also, it feels like a more kind of understated year, if that makes sense. Does that make sense? It feels like you've got a lot of niche hitters. You've got Death Stranding punching those Kojima fans in the face, and they're taking it. Claire Obscure for those turn-based RPG fans, and there's a lot of really good stuff. But it feels like the biggest thing I can think of is it feels like a 2019 where it's like there's so many good, there's a load of good stuff, but there's nothing like an Elden Ring that's already just like everybody's caught everybody's heart, so that's all we're hearing about constantly for the next 16 years. You know what I mean? So it's an interesting one.
I don't know. I've been having a good enough time this year. I think that I'm more advantaged than most people when discussing things like this, though, because I tend to grow a wider net as far as things I try out. And then when I don't have things that I'm immediately interested in, I'm really good at filling in the blank spaces with things I want to be looking at that came out before. But then I've got, I haven't played all that many games so far that were released this year still, for the near 30 that I've finished this year.
Yeah, we've had a console launch as well. Let's not forget that. We're a month out now from the Nintendo Switch 2 launching, which, by the way, can happily announce my second Switch has finally been returned. I haven't got the money back yet, but it's at least gone out of my household. We have finally learned that lesson, ladies and gentlemen. And what did I do? I went, thank you, Nintendo. Now I'm going to buy your controllers. Look, I bought an N64 controller and a GameCube, because this is what I do here now. I'm going to enjoy those three
controllers that he famously does not like very much.
It's true. I don't like these controllers, but at the same time, one of my, I don't know if it's going to be a resolution for this year, but one of my resolutions for the next couple of years is to go back at least a little bit and experience a lot of the stuff that, a lot of the big games, the big releases that I didn't really experience growing up because, it's hard to believe, you Americans, but Nintendo's not a big thing here in the UK. So it's like most people I knew growing up didn't grow up with Nintendo. I never even had to hear a conversation really about a Zelda game or anything like that. If anything, it was the handhelds and that was about it. So the whole of the N64 and the GameCube generation really did slip me by, and the only thing I ever did was I'd go into our equivalent of a Chuck E. Cheese and I'd see that they'd have like the game stands with the the plastic case around the console and the controllers hanging out, and you could play a little bit of Jack and Daxter for the PS2 or whatever. And they'd have like an N64 or a
Yeah.
GameCube, and I just feel the controller and go, "This controller's fucking weird, dude. Like, why is it
Dude,
so
there was an
squidgy?"
era of like McDonald's where for a little while they just had like Mario Power Tennis hanging out in the corner of one of them.
Dude,
That
that's
was a great
sick.
time.
That's sick.
One of the kids I went to like elementary school with had a birthday party there.
Hell
And
yeah.
because elementary school was very anti excluding people, if you invited people from the class, you had to pretty much invite everybody. So
Oh
that was how
yeah,
I
yeah.
spent most of my afternoon that day
Yeah.
was just playing Mario Power Tennis.
I very vividly
Great.
remember having a birthday party. There was a couple of like Chuck E. Cheese kind of equivalents here in the UK. One was like a Wacky Warehouse, because of course the most British name of something you can come up with. Um, Another one was like Brewster's. I can't remember which one it was that I went to for this birthday party, but this is like I have a very vivid memory of going into their like their play area, their play place, whatever, and having on the side whatever Ape Escape was on the PS2 and Jack and Daxter. And I just remember it very vividly because they're games that I have like a very vivid memory of playing, but they're both ironically games I never owned in my entire childhood. So it's like I just remember going to play these games are crazy. Never gonna ask my parents for them for Christmas, but who knows? Um, but yeah, we're not here to talk about old games. We're here to talk about new games. Specifically those that have come out in the past 6 months or are to come in the next 6 months. So in the past, we've done this as 2 episodes. This week, we're doing it as a singular piece where we're just going to go through the big hitters from the last 6 months, go over what's to come over the next 6 months, see how we're feeling on this year as a whole, get a vibe check on 2025, which is, I don't know about you, Hunter. 2025 is, I don't know if it's because, there were games like Call of Duty was set in 2025 when it was doing the futuristic stuff. And 2025 is the first year to me that doesn't feel like a real year. Like we're in make believe land now, where it's like the numbers are too high for me to actually think there should be
Yeah,
flying
yeah,
cars up above, dude. It's
it
not
does
real.
feel made up in a way. It's kind of like when you hear somebody say that they like some kid say that they were born in like 2006. I'm like, no,
Dude,
you
that
weren't.
scares me.
Stop telling lies.
That scares me, dude.
You know?
It's like forget the Bible, dude. We've got before modern Doctor Who and after modern Doctor Who, dude. If you're born after 2005, I'm like, that's scary. That is actually terrifying to me. Like that, I cannot comprehend that. That is actually terrifying. Um, God, yeah, there was something about it. It's like Black Ops 3 or whatever. It's like 10 years old, and it's like, yeah, there'll be people who are playing Call of Duty because the demographic for Call of Duty, what is it? Like 9-year-olds, dude. There'll be people playing it that weren't even alive when good Call of Duty was a thing. That's crazy. No wonder they're playing
Oof.
Fortnite, Hunter. No wonder they're playing Fortnite.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, Call of Duty's best tactic these days is making you believe it's something else before it hits you, it drops the hammer on you.
We'll talk about it later. Anyway, let's dive straight in. It is January. The weather is, somewhat warm. It was a weird January. And what games did we have the pleasure of playing in January, Hunter? That we all
There
definitely
was
played.
not a whole lot in January as
Even
far
for
as like
January, it was quiet. Even for January.
there wasn't like a big January like sleeper either. Like no one took the slot really
No one
as
took the
far
KH3 slot. Yeah.
we had some ports that kind of picked up steam like that's when the Final Fantasy VII port showed up
Oh,
for
for Rebirth for PC.
Steam. Yeah,
I technically
which
dabbled with it because I did buy the PC version of it because Steam was doing a ludicrous deal where it was like $40 for remake and rebirth together, and I was like, bro, I don't own either of these on
stonks.
Steam. Yoink! Like, take them, happily pay for them again. I am your sucker, Square Enix. Um,
It,
good port,
it
good port.
yeah, yeah, it gave Rebirth a pretty decent spike in engagement there for a
I
little
think it's
while.
fair to say that I'd be extremely surprised if Part 3 is an exclusive to PlayStation 5. I just think we get it on PS5 and probably PC day and date. Um,
Yeah, probably.
it just, I don't know. I think the modern era of Final Fantasy is something to kind of like study really, where it is like the death of the modern, like the third party exclusive, where back on the PS4, back on the PS3, these things were huge. They would drive console sales. And I think I think the PS5 generation has been the generation of people going, I'll hedge my bets. Like it's the same. When if a movie comes out at the cinema and there's a load of people, I'm one of those people now that's just like, it'll be on Disney Plus or Netflix eventually. I feel like people are like that now with third party exclusives. They'll be like, it'll rock up eventually. And those people that have played, those people that have played 16 on Xbox now, they're thriving, dude. They've been waiting forever, but
Yeah,
they're thriving.
dude. In the case of Xbox and first party exclusives, I'm like that.
Oh, 100%, 100%. Um, but now, when you're talking about a port of a PS5 game from literally 11 months prior, you're like, yeah, big January, guys, big January.
Yeah, or there was the Donkey Kong Country Returns Switch port.
Who could forget?
Yeah,
I ummed
this
and
was a
ahed
big one
about
for
buying
fans of the series,
this.
but Ninja
Yeah.
Gaiden 2 Black was dropped the day that they announced Ninja Gaiden 4's release later this year.
Dude, with all the obviously we are not touching upon the Xbox havoc that has happened in this past week. All I can say to that is, oh wow, who would have guessed? It's not like we were screaming on the podcast that consolidation's a terrible thing, but it's like this is like the one time, dude, that Platinum and everybody working on like 4 Range Bound has got to be thinking, thank God we are actually at the end of development here. Like there's that Ninja Gaiden 4 to me screams like a game. But if it was if it was like 2 or 3 years back in development, it'd be like Phil Spencer would have had his shotgun out, dude. Like that would have been a fire in the chamber, dude. So I'm happy that these games are actually seeing the light of day. People liked Ninja Gaiden 2, the remaster plus. From what I heard, people thought it was pretty solid.
Yeah, people seem to really enjoy it. I still want to try and get into those at some point. I don't know. I think at this point I'm running out of time, and we'll hop on when the new one is out
Yeah,
and work backwards from there. But
and say it with me, fellow Xbox gamers: we will not buy it. We will play it on Game Pass. Hallelujah!
yeah,
It's the best value game because it benefits everybody, bar the developers and anybody that actually needs to make a living from these things. It's great. I can't wait.
yeah,
But we joke about it, but at the same time, it's like with Tony Hawk coming out and stuff like that, I'm like, oh, maybe it is time to renew. Because as a consumer, I don't blame anybody because it does make sense. Oh, would you rather pay $120 a year to play all these games, or but like, yeah, of course you're gonna do that. Of course you are. If you can play the games and make the money most of the time, you're gonna do it. I
yeah.
don't blame him. It's stupid. Oh well. But yeah, Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah, from a consumer standpoint, I definitely don't blame anybody for taking advantage of that. But
Yeah. It's Xbox's
um,
stupidity. They've dug their own hole, Hunter, and they're sitting there and going, "Oh fuck, we've dug a big hole here.
yeah,
Let's try pushing some bodies into it. Will that fill it up? No. Okay, guess we keep digging. Like my god, we love Xbox on
yeah,
this podcast, ladies and gentlemen. We do love Xbox a lot. Hey, I was one of the 3 people that like Starfield. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. It's me, Greg Miller, and maybe it's just 2. I can't think of a third person that likes Starfield.
yeah. You too. And then closing out the month was Citizen Sleeper 2, which I've not played. I haven't played the other one, but I have a distant fascination with them because they look kind of cool.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the first time Hunter cooked me out of a pick on the fantasy crit this year. He's done it multiple times, and this was the first one.
This and the same at the same time, it was the counter pick for Double Dragon.
Yeah. I also think was it you that picked Blueprints like the second before I was gonna pick Blueprints as well? Like, oh,
Apparently, yeah,
so mad, so mad. Oh well, it happens. But now, again, I heard great things about Citizen Sleeper 2. Didn't partake in it myself, not really my kind of game. But yeah.
yeah. That first one is available on the PlayStation Extra right now, or it
I
was a
think 2
while
was on
ago.
Game Pass, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't know about its current status now that I speak, but it was at one point, and if it still is the next time I'm like thinking about maybe I'll give it a try.
Dip your toes into it. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, then we move on to February,
Like we said, guys, not as
which
many games this year, so it's going to be a quick one. We're going to run through this lightning round.
yeah, to be fair,
There were
you
some
and
big
I don't
hitters in
care about.
February. There were some big hitters
Yeah,
in
you and
February.
I don't care at all about Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, but it is something that came out and people liked.
I mean, I can talk about it at length because I do have a friend that was really into the first one. Like he was, um, he didn't like. He's one of those people that found the game because he thought, he is the kind of person that it gravitated, like the extremely realistic medieval setting or whatever. He's really big into Game of Thrones. He's really big into The Witcher. So that was just kind of something that he drew, like, he was drawn into, and he really liked the game. Didn't care for the creators' like political opinions or whatever, but he was like, I like the game. I'm gonna play the game. I'm like, fair play, good for you. Um, he's been trying to get me and all my other friends. I'm like, dude, there's nothing that I would rather not play than Kingdom Come Deliverance. And again, has nothing to do with outside like whatever uh politics or anything like that. It's just game looks boring as shit to me. It's just not my kind of game. Um, but it's one of those things where, Hunter, what do we always say on this podcast, dude? Give a game a second chance. Take an
Yeah, it is
IP.
another sequel that definitely juiced itself up for sure.
And again, could I care less about this game? No, not really. But, fair play. Congrats to the team and congrats to everybody involved. Seems they made a really good game here that people really seem to like. If you're into it, you're into it. If you're not, you're not. Like that's what I was saying. Like my ballpark pitch for this year so far has been: if you're in a niche and you really like the look like of something, you kind of you've kind of been onto a winner really. So yeah, fair play. But yeah, I couldn't care less. You will never get me to play it. I will never play it, and it's got nothing to do with anything other than I think medieval realistic RPG sounds boring as fuck. But all power to you. Some people hate JRPGs, and sometimes I do too.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Later on, there was a Civilization. What number are they on? Seven,
7,
8. Yeah,
yeah. That was a
it
bit of a
seems to.
disappointment for me because I thought it was going to get high on my fantasy draft.
Yeah, that's the story of Ethan's year on the Fantasy Critic so far. Is even the good hits have been lower than you'd expect.
Dude, there's something about, again, I love it, 5 minutes earlier on a rant about Xbox firing a load of people and being a bunch of bastards, but then I'm sitting here metagaming review scores where I'm like, oh, I wish that was better. Not because of the devs, but because my fantasy draft needed the boost. So, yeah, I don't know. Civ's usually a slam dunk, and this one's like the first kind of rocky entry in a while. It's still got like
Yeah,
an 80, but
y-
it was like it is a weird one. I think what they did was they tried to appeal to the masses. They tried to simplify a load of mechanics, and a lot of hardcore people didn't like those simplifications. So,
yeah.
you know, that's not the kind of game where you go, let's appeal to the normies. Like, I think that's one where you just kind of, you stay in your lane. I feel like it's the issue of every live service game at the moment is everyone, appeal to everybody. Well, you're appealing to no one when
Yeah,
you do that.
I I feel like I don't think there's a normie RTS game that can really exist. It's a niche by
Yeah, like Halo Wars maybe would be
default.
like the closest you could get. Like,
And that's only because it's attached to a normie IP.
yeah, true. 100% agree. But hey, it came
Um,
out. February was a big month though. You've got other
yeah,
hits as well.
it had the first game that I played this year, which was After Love EP, which was it was a visual novel rhythm game kind of thing. It was the final game to be worked on by Fami, the Coffee Talk creator,
Hmm.
for being brought over the finish line by the rest of his team.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it
I
was a
did not have
good
a chance
game.
to
I
play it.
liked it. I thought it was a neat idea.
No, it's cool. Anything else, Hunter? There were a couple more big hitters that we have yet to touch
Yeah.
upon. looking back in our own portfolio, I'm like, oh yes,
Hold on a moment.
we
My
definitely. What have you done?
window got it changed size. It was
See, this is why we did need Kyle, guys. Kyle didn't refuse
it's
to be on
true.
this episode because he hates new video games, so he's not here and he doesn't want to be affiliated with new video games.
Next up was the double whammy of Avowed and then Lost Records, Bloom and Rage,
Yeah,
episode 1.
I want to give a round of applause for Lost Records, dude, for somehow still not playing that game. Like, I genuinely, there's something about that game where it was like, I'll get to it. Part 2 comes out, I'll get to it. Zeitgeist dies. I'm still like, I'll get to it. By the end of this year,
Yeah.
Law Hunter, I will have played Lost Records Bloom and Range. Obviously, you wrote a review for this on hotgamersonly.com and on
I think that
youtube.com.
if I just had somebody else to talk to, I probably wouldn't have wrote that review.
Yeah, true. So true. So you're welcome,
It was
ladies and
just one
gentlemen.
of
What you're saying is you're welcome, ladies and gentlemen. You
yeah,
got a
it's one of
review.
those things where I think I wrote it mostly because I'm like, well,
If Ethan's not going to play
I'm
it, then
not done processing this yet, so I might as well write it down.
that was me with double exposure because
Yeah, yeah.
I played the early access, so I played the first 2 episodes early, so I finished it a couple of days before you. So I literally just started writing the review because I'm like, I cannot sit on this dog shit for for much longer, dude. Like, I cannot sit on the abysmal ending for this long. And I think it's very funny that we both ended up landing in the exact same spot on that. We both I gave Life is Strange Double Exposure a 3 out of 5. You gave Lost Records a 3 out of 5.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I'll just speak about both parts of it as right now because I don't see a reason to return to. I feel like splitting it really did kind of uh, shoot them in the foot
mm,
because, like, to the game's credit, I was the most interested in the game by the time that episode 1 had finished. But then the follow up to it was like, you know, not what I
2 months.
would have hoped it.
Yeah, it was 2 months as well.
Yeah, it was like 2 months out, and it wasn't, as strong as I was hoping it would have been, which is a shame. But it still had some good ideas with it. If you've played a lot of these games and they're the kind of thing you like, give it a try. But if you haven't, if you still haven't played like Life is Strange or the like yet, then start with those.
I genuinely do think I'm starting to come to terms with the fact that it's like Life is Strange 1 is such a special game to me. Like, it's a top 10 game of all time for me, the way that it resonated with me when I played it. Um, I've told that story enough times on this podcast that fucking hell, the 30 to 50 of you who are still listening to this every week, that were back then, you're sick of hearing it, so I will not recall the story. But it's like, I think I'm finally starting, after Double Exposure and then after this coming out and having mixed reviews, I'm starting to come around to the fact that I just think that maybe it was just an era that isn't ever going to go anywhere again, that maybe we need somebody to come and look at the same way that Life is Strange looked at story-based narratives and was like, let's try this. I think someone just needs to come and reinvent the wheel again. I feel like maybe we're done with this kind of formula because it seems like it's just kind of stalling, either from Don't Nod making new IP or from other people attempting to recreate that magic.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. But hey, I haven't played it yet. Maybe I'll come out and play Lost Records and go, Hunter, you're mental. This is the greatest game ever made. I don't think so,
That would
but
that would
I
be
can.
hysterical. But yeah.
What, me being more
Uh,
positive on a game than you? It can happen, dude. It can happen. I believe one day. One day.
I mean, there are games that you like more than me. They
True, true,
exist.
true. What's next, Hunter? What's next?
Oh, well, Avowed was something that you dabbled with that came out the same day, if
Uh,
you had anything to speak about there.
dude, this game had no source. Like, it just no offense to Obsidian. No, I've got nothing against Obsidian. I'm actually, like I say, I'm probably gonna get another year of Game Pass. I am part of the problem, fellow soldiers. Um, because there's a lot of games coming to Game Pass later this year that I'm interested in. And Tony Hawk, I'm interested in dabbling with Tony Hawk, but there's a couple of other things that I'd like to dabble with. And one of them's the Outer Worlds. Fucking hell, I'm always going to get those confused. Outer Worlds 2. Just because I liked the idea of the first one. So I'm like, oh, maybe I'll hop in with the second one and see what it's like for a little bit. But when Avowed was announced all those years ago, it was just before they bought up Bethesda, and they're like, "Hey, we're making Skyrim. We're doing our own take on Skyrim. Take that, Bethesda." And then obviously it's
And
very
then they
clear that
bought Bethesda.
they bought Bethesda, and the gears shifted into this Pillars of Eternity RPG. And I've never played Pillars of Eternity, and it's so in the weeds and it's so dense with its own lore. I just could not get into it. It's a very competent video game. It seems to play rather well, but I just couldn't get into the world and the lore, and it's extremely linear, and it was just everything I wasn't looking for in that kind of game. That it
Yeah.
like I say, it just didn't hook me in really, unfortunately. But there are people that like it. Again, it's a game that in my
Yeah.
head I thought would be more positively received, but hey,
It's not slowing Obsidian down one bit. They are Xbox's
yeah, what
Insomniac.
three? Yeah, three releases this year because they've
Yeah.
got Outworlds 2
They've
and
got
Grounded
Avowed.
2. Yeah.
Yeah, Grounded 2 is going into early access sometime this summer.
Which hey, I've got to ask the question, who asked for Grounded 2? I don't understand why you make a sequel to a live
I
service
don't
game
know.
that you just think they just keep churning, just
Yeah,
keep that
it's like,
going.
why wouldn't you just,
Keep
you
it going.
know,
Keep
keep
the
it
ball rolling.
going?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not Phil Spencer. I'm not Matt Booty.
Yeah, I don't understand them.
Oh well. What was next? Am I crazy? Was Monster Hunter
Um,
February? I swear Monster Hunter was February.
Monster Hunter Wilds was right at the end of February, yeah.
Yeah.
February 28th. Um, I don't play Monster
We're
Hunter.
not Monster Hunter people. Yeah. I had a couple of
It seemed
friends.
to do the job for people who like Monster Hunter though. I've still
It
got a
did.
bunch of people in Discord servers that talk about the newest happenings and I'm like, good for you. That's nice. I don't know what any of that means.
It does. It hit. It came out. I've heard there's been so many problems with the PC version. I've had there's been the PC version has been terrible since launch. So I'm really surprised that Capcom hasn't fixed it, because usually Capcom's pretty good at doing stuff like that. Capcom's really good at getting stuff fixed when, especially modern Capcom. Let me specify, like recent Capcom is pretty good at this kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, So that's surprising. I'm also just kind of surprised, and I don't know if it's because the PC port is such a mixed bag, but I don't know about you, Hunter, but after World and after Rise, I was genuinely expecting like the next Monster Hunter to be like the biggest thing in the world. Like genuinely just, be this gargantuan thing. And it's been, don't worry, don't get me wrong, biggest like Monster Hunter launch of all time. Most players have playing a Monster Hunter game. But I was expecting it to blow up in the same way that, every breakthrough game has blown up in the recent years, like Power World blew up and all that stuff, where it's like, I just expected it to
Oh
be
yeah.
huge. I expected it to be like the next big thing. And it kind of hasn't. It's just kind of been a bigger Monster Hunter, which is good. And
It's
I'm sure Capcom's not complaining about the
it's one
revenue.
of those things about like with World or in general, I think that Monster Hunter is one of those ones that is big when you examine it, but is unobtrusive if you're not paying attention to it, which I appreciate that. I would prefer for games with their audience to not bother me if I don't care about them.
Yeah,
Because you just
true.
mentioned Power World, and I was like, oh, yeah, that was annoying.
Yeah, true. But it's like almost Helldivers. Helldivers was absolutely huge. It's still huge.
Yeah.
Coming to Xbox. But it's like I was expecting it to be that kind of level, and it seems to have stabilized. And maybe, like I say, maybe it's just because they're all in their own little bubble that I don't realize how big it actually is. But to me, I was expecting it to make more of a splash in like the cultural zeitgeist than it did. But
Yeah,
hey,
yeah.
I'm not going to complain. As someone who doesn't get Monster Hunter, I'm not going to complain. Happy for you
Yeah.
though. I've a lot of my close friends like Monster Hunter, and they've tried to get me into it. And you know what I said, Hunter?
Nah.
Nah, bro, I don't have time for that.
Yeah.
Anyway, next up, am I wrong in thinking? Yeah, I know a game that came out in March straight away.
I believe the next thing that I've got my own timeline kind of mishmashed here, but I think the next one we can talk about is Split Fiction.
Hell yeah! What a game, dude! What a game.
Oh, we played this one together.
We did, yeah. A little bit of couples therapy. It went really well. Um, yeah, I think I don't know. This is not my first time playing a Joseph Fares game. I haven't played It Takes Two. It Takes Two is surprisingly not. It's the only one I haven't played. The one that won the
Ditto.
Gotti is the one we're gonna have to go back and play it. We did say we were gonna do that eventually.
Honestly,
Maybe when
yeah,
stuff dies down later in the year, we'll do it. But yeah, so I was excited for this one because I was like, originally we weren't planning on covering it, but I was just like, oh, this just looks too much fun. I literally just put a message. I think I brought it up on the podcast. I was like, Hunter, if I buy this, will you play it with me? And he's like, yeah, sure. Like, okay, I'll just bet. I'll buy it. I don't mind putting the
yeah,
money towards
yeah.
it. So that's what we did. I bought it. It came a day early, which was very funny because with these games, I was like, well, Hunter can't download it early, so I guess we're just gonna sit here and
Yeah.
think about what we've done. The ultimate DRM, not having the friend own the game, is kind of crazy. But yeah, I loved this game. I still think it's fantastic. I still think about this game quite a bit.
Oh yeah, it's real good. Like I think everything that it seemed like It Takes Two did, this was a natural evolution of, as far as, you know, all of the ideas being taken to their furthest extremes, and then just variety of different stuff you do.
it's it's very rare these days to have a game that is, and I think you're gonna hear this quite a lot this year because I think there are very much games that are just built to be fun. I think Donkey Kong is also just going to be one of those games that we talk about in literally a couple of weeks and have this exact same discussion. But it's very rare for you to get a game now that is just built to just be a good time. You know, you've got
Yeah.
like even some of the big hitters that we're going to talk about later. You know, DS2 and Clair Obscure. They're great games, don't get me wrong, and they're very fun to. But it's like narrative is very much a prominent force on it, and how do we make you feel? Whereas Joseph Fares is like, what's the stupidest thing that we can come up with here? Oh, pigs that fly by farting rainbows? Cool, let's do it. Write it in. Who gives a crap? You know, it's just like I really like. Hazelight is very quickly becoming like one of my favorite developers in the industry because it just seems like they are just making things that are fun. They feel like they are almost old school in their way of designing stuff, where it is just they're coming up with ideas. We were talking about this with Astrobot last year, where it's just idea after idea after idea. Let's implement it. Let's polish it. Let's move on to the next thing. You just don't ever stay on something on Split Fiction. You'll do a section, you'll be like, oh, that was sick. And in any other video game, they would use that another 3 or 4 times throughout the whole game. And nothing, it never comes up again. That last level, I'm not going to talk about it because I
Oh
feel like
my
we're still in
god,
spoiler territory.
it
Might
was
be the
real lit
best
though.
ending to a video game in terms of gameplay that I have played in a long, long time. Where I'm like, oh, you just took the absolute essence of what this video game is and have just purified it into an ending that I'm like, wow,
Yeah,
what a
yeah.
great fucking ending, man. Like, geez.
Oh, yeah.
Very good video game.
Also, like a bunch of reviews at the time were coming at them for the story being whatever, and I feel like that's a stupid complaint because it
Like,
was exactly what it should have been.
it's exactly what it, and to be honest, when you're playing a game, no offense, but it's like when I'm playing a game with you or I'm playing a game with a friend, we're not going to be like, okay, now hush, it's time to write notes and talk about and listen to the compelling story. Most of the time, you're bantering with each other or you're talking through everything. It's not the kind of game where you want that kind of narrative, right? Evil
No,
guy is
no,
evil. Perfect. That's just
the
exactly
evil
what I need.
guy
Yeah.
with his funny delivery of the machine.
Of the machine, which I think is really funny now because I'm looking at it in hindsight and I'm like, yo, do you think Andrew Wilson, head of EA, is ever looking at that and going, what motherfucker? That's me. Because that's what I was like. I'm like, oh my god, it's Andrew Wilson. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, that's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. When I saw a picture of the guy a few months later, I was like, "Oh, that's hilarious!" Joseph Ferris, you will never not be great for this.
Yeah, perfection. But no, I love this game. I still love it. It is still high on my list of game of the year contenders right now. It's still in my top three. I can say that for a fact. It's still in my top three so far, which is pretty good because I've played more games than I thought I'd play this year. Now that I'm thinking about it, I was like, oh, I've only played like 3 games. I'm like, no, I've probably played closer to 10. But yeah, it's still in my top three. I loved it. I think it's fantastic. And I'm so happy it did so well. That's one of those games where I'm like,
Yeah.
yes, you sell all those copies. I want to see what next like twisted creation you can make because, like I say, Haze Light just don't miss.
Next up in March, a couple days later, was the release of Wanderstop, which was a game that I reviewed. Yeah, I really enjoyed this game. The the writer of the Stanley Parable teamed up
Yeah,
with, I'm forgetting who the other personnel is right now, but
yeah.
it was a
C418 was the composer, wasn't he?
yeah, that was the Minecraft
The
guy.
Minecraft guy. Um,
Yeah.
which can I just say, C418,
Every time
very
I learn that
underrated
Minecraft
developer.
had music, I am shocked by it.
Dude, do you know what's shocking is yeah, a lot of people are the same, and then people don't realize it's like genuinely C418's Minecraft soundtrack, the music that C418 did for Minecraft, is quite possibly like it's in my top 10 sound video game soundtracks of all time. There's not a better like how the soundtrack fits with the game and how it all works is like it's like one of those masterstrokes where I'm like it's so integral to the game that you almost it's like it's supplementary. You don't understand it's there, but if you take it away, like the whole atmosphere from the game is just kind of dead. Where I'm like, it's like I just love that soundtrack. It's fantastic. So I'm just
Well,
happy to see
his
him being in more things
yeah,
because he's
his
great at
work
what he
on
does.
this game was also very good. Wanderstop was really cool. The general premise was Atla, this lady, got beat up in a fight professionally, and then got kind of stuck in a rut and went off to ends up running a tea shop in the middle of the woods with Boro, this jolly lad who owns the place. And yeah, it's just one of those like simulator games with a twist, I guess. Um, Imagine like if Coffee Talk made you go harvest the ingredients before you serve the people.
Hell yeah, hell yeah.
And I think the best way I described the honestly in a way that's kind of similar to doing deliveries for Death Stranding, while you just kind of wait for stuff to happen to you.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of moving or getting the ingredients and setting yourself up while you just wait for people to come in was kind of a similar feeling while I was playing this game.
Hell yeah.
And yeah, they did a really good job at getting their point across. I thought that the game had a decent bit to say.
Again, this is one of those ones that I haven't played yet. I'm hoping to get around to it eventually. Potentially, if they ever do a physical, wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Oh yeah, I will be all over that. I got a code for this, so I didn't. So I'm
Oh yeah,
all
we have to
about
do so. We
spending
do
the
have to
money
say
for.
that. Yeah, review copy provided. His opinion is biased, and you definitely shouldn't
Yeah,
listen to it. But no,
yeah,
we did do a review of this. It's up on the website or on the YouTube channel if you want to check that out. But Hunter did give it a 5 out of 5.
I sure did.
Anything
All
else in
right.
March?
I'm scanning the list. I'm struggling to remember anything off the top of my head, though.
What are you telling me you didn't play? Is it wrong to try to pick up girls in a dungeon full of water of light and light? But that is a
Would it be wrong
dyslexic's
to
nightmare.
swan dive off of a
Yeah, dude, that is like,
100-story
is it
building?
wrong to
Because
try
I'd
and
do
pick
that
up girls in
first.
a dungeon full of water and light? Is
Uh,
like genuinely that is like final boss fight of a title for
oh,
anybody that's
right.
dyslexic. My
Assassin's
God.
Creed Shadows came out in the later part of March.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, I've had a really
So you can take that one away.
dude, let me start this off by saying I've had a really bad year in terms of free time and my work life balance has been like horrendous. There's been a lot of reviews this year that have kind of had to be chucked to the side and scrapped halfway through to like writing, just because it's like the time was out. And I don't know if you guys are interested. I have thought and dabbled about maybe doing some catch up reviews, not videos, but just the written articles up on the website, so we have them up there, because mainly writing it is the shorter part, right? Editing and making the review is usually the harder part of the journey, because like it's like 5 or 6 hours to write a review. It's then in like another 15 or 20 to get everything fucking together, including footage and all that jazz. But
Oh
Assassin's
yeah.
Creed is one of those games which I originally intended to write a review on, and I managed to get through the game, but I never managed to finish writing the review. Um, Assassin's Creed Shadows is just dull. It is a nothing, but it's a waste of 50 to 100 hours of your life. It is everything that is wrong with modern Ubisoft, and it genuinely it just makes me angry, because it's like you wait X amount of years for a feudal Japan Assassin's Creed game. A game that everybody wanted for a long time, back
Yeah.
when Assassin's Creed 2 was coming out. Um,
If this game had come out in 2016 or 2015, it
mhm,
probably would have been the best time for it to come out.
100%. And it's just, I hate this modern Assassin's Creed formula. I really don't like it. It is everything wrong with modern open world games. It is a time sink. It does not respect your time. Everything is level capped. Everything has to have an arbitrary RPG system where you have to level up and get certain power levels on your armor, X, Y, and Z. It's just it's just a nothing, but the story is absolutely terrible. It's a terrible, terrible story that starts off relatively strong. The first 6 or 7 hours, where you're playing as Naue, is actually quite interesting, in the fact that, oh, we're going on a story, like we're actually going on a hero's journey here. I like that. It's a redemption arc, a revenge story. Okay, cool. And then the game goes, oh yeah, now pick which of the fucking 12 people you want to go and kill first. And because everything is non-linear, because that's the buzzword of the generation for some reason, is non-linear. It's like, what did people take away from Dark Souls? It is just, you can do anything whenever you want, but that means from a narrative point of view, everything happens all at once. So no one
Dude,
goes on an arc. There's nothing that
that's
happens.
that's something that's always like since the PS3 even people's focus on how linear or non-linear something is. So I remember this being a big bone of contention when Final Fantasy 13 came out, and they meant like literally with the level design
Hmm.
being
Yeah, yeah.
always or whatever. But still, I'm sitting there like, well, who cares? It's making point A to B interesting, not necessarily that you can start at point A and go from to B or C or whatever.
Dude, I would take the older I get, Hunter, the more I realize that, I'd rather take linear over non-linear every single day, because at least there's a structure there. And I think a lot of people talk about how video games are getting too long, and, oh, I really like a shorter game. And I'm like, I don't care about game length. What I care about is structure. Do you have a set structure which actually works for the video game you're making? Persona is one of the longest games that you can play. All of them are all really long. But because they have a structure built into them, and it's as if they've planned for it, I don't get bored. Like, if you said to me that Persona is, again, it's a 100-hour game, but it's actually an open world where you can do anything in any order. It's still 100 hours long, but you can do any palace in any order that you find it. No, nightmare fuel. I'd hate that.
Oh,
It'd
that'd
be
be a
awful.
nightmare.
Oh, you've done Futaba's dungeon first? That means that you have, it's like you could have
Oh,
Futaba
great.
from the
You did the
start
best
or from
one
the
from
end.
the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like, honestly, I hate that idea. And honestly, it's like, I'm sitting here now. We obviously know that the Black Flag remake is real. It is coming. Everybody and their mum has leaked it. Even Edward's voice actor has been recently saying at cons, "Oh, you'll have a reason to replay it soon." And I'm like, "Oh, here we fucking go." And the thing I'm genuinely terrified about Hunter is
I
what if they
if
just
they
turn it into a modern Assassin's
oh
Creed game?
yeah,
What if they turn Black Flag and they go, here's the story, but it's the modern systems? I'd hate it. I genuinely, I
that would
am,
be a
I'm,
bummer.
I'm genuinely hesitant about the Black Flag remake because I know I'm going to play it, and either it's going to be a remake of one of my favorite games from the early PS4 generation, and I'm going to have a great time, or it's going to be a like modern like like actual train wreck of one of my favorite. Like it's going to be everything that I
Uh,
loathe about modern Ubisoft. We'll find out in like the next 12 months, I guess. But yeah, Assassin's Creed Shadows.
Played it just in time to see how they'll massacre your boy.
Yeah, exactly. Assassin's Creed
But
Shadows is a big nothing burger of a pointless video game that you might as well wait till it's £5 on sale at some point and then still go, you know what? No, I'm good.
yeah, it's one of those things where last year I played Rise of the Ronin or whatever, similar setting and whatnot. And like I could see how from like a if you were to take across the board every element of both games, how
Hmm.
Assassin's Creed could be better. But Rise of the Ronin, I feel like if I were to play Assassin's Creed Shadows, I probably still would have got more joy from that and just the general cycle of going from A to B doing gameplay stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it's like there are a few positives. I think the world is really nice. Like it's a very pretty game. I do like Naue and Yasuke as characters. They have absolutely zero development and not a single arc in sight. But as character archetypes and performances, I think they are fine. Um, the music's pretty good as well, but it's like there's just nothing. There's no substance there. There is absolutely no substance. It's a halfway house. They've gone, okay, people don't like the eagle. We'll get rid of the eagle. I'm like, okay, but the modern Ubisoft design style for Assassin's Creed was based off of having this eagle and doing all, and it's just like everything about it is just hidden blades actually killing people instantly wasn't toggle in the options menu as an accessibility feature, and I'm like, bitch, that should be a default. Oh yeah, I really
Yeah.
want to jump on somebody and stab them and take a third of the health bar away. Thank you, Ubisoft. What a great design decision.
One of the first clips I saw of that game was someone, doing the dive from the roof onto somebody, and they just kind of like stagger up and
Bounce. Yeah.
cough. And I
Yeah.
was like, well, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Um yeah, like I say, maybe at some point I will find it in my heart to at least get a written review out for it, but it would sit firmly between a 3 and a 2. Like it genuinely is sitting in that territory where I'd be questioning it. I really would. Um I don't think it's a very I think it's better than Valhalla. I think it's worth like it's gone down in my estimations. I think Origins is better. I genuinely out of the modern Assassin's Creeds, I think it goes Odyssey by a mile, then Origins, then Shadows, and then at the bottom is Valhalla, which is ironic because you're supposed to go up to Valhalla, not down. But hey ho, it's fine.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Um, just a couple days after Assassin's Creed was the Nintendo Switch version of Xenoblade X. They said it
Oh,
couldn't be
let's hand
done.
it over to Kyle. Oh yeah, he
Good
didn't
job,
show up.
Kyle.
Okay, cool.
He's got a review up though, if you want to go check that out.
He has, and you know what? I'll do you one better, guys. I'll do you one better because he's not here. I'll read his summary out for you, just so you get a feel for it. Because I'm nothing but I like to give out to the community, dude. Xenoblade X truly feels like an anomaly to me. By all accounts, this should be a game that I don't like. A massive open world game with a bare bones story, and most of the meaningful content being hidden behind side quests. But it turns out that if you make an open world fun to explore, remove restrictions on the player, and give them a sick combat system with tons of build variety and a killer soundtrack, it can make for a fun time. As one of the last games to be released on the Switch, I genuinely think that this is worthy of your time. Give your console one last ride before the Switch 2. He gave it a 5 out of 5. This is a game that, again, is like it came out right at the end of the Switch, and I had been raving like a lunatic going, I have icky Switch syndrome, dude, where it's like, I don't want to touch the Switch one. It's icky, dude. No, I don't want it. It's got the cheese touch. I don't want that. It's old. It's nasty. I don't want that. And it hasn't got a Switch 2 patch, so I'm still not playing it because I'm like, they will patch it. I'm sitting in my corner, Hunter. I'm like, they will patch it.
Yeah.
Um,
For me, it's mostly the being story light thing when the story is the main appeal for the Xenoblade series for me.
well, when he says a massive
Because
open world game with a bare bones story, I'm sitting there going, "Ooh, that's not the bit that I like Xenoblade for the story. That's why I play
yeah,
these games for."
and
Xenoblade
I don't
3
think they
has
were.
one of my
Yeah,
favorite stories in video games. So, no story. I'm like,
they also weren't. They also weren't fun at a gameplay level until three. So,
dude,
it,
like, yeah,
Xenoblade X is currently one of those ones that's reserved
it's
for
on
the
my
Christmas
shelf.
list.
It is on my shelf. My never-ending my Switch shelf, which will be very funny because soon there'll be one Switch 2 game, and I worked out Hunter. That'll be the only one sitting there for a while because I'm getting the Switch 1 versions of Metroid and Pokemon because I got them cheap on the pre-order, so I'm not going to swap to. I'll just pay for the upgrade pack. It's still cheaper than whatever,
And they look better on that
and they look
box.
better, dude. Hell yeah. Do you know what the strat is, Hunter? I've thought of this. We print out new box arts. We make the Switch 2 box art better, and we print it out, and then we
Yeah.
sell it for $60.
Oh, now we're talking.
We'll
All
see
you
if
need is
those.
one.
Yeah,
All you need is one to make you to break even
that's exactly what I'm thinking. That's
when
what
you.
exactly what I'm thinking. Sickos. Some sicko will pay for it. Some
Yeah,
box art
just
sicko.
open up the HGO Etsy store for that one.
HG Arts and Crafts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um. But yeah,
Um,
is that it for March?
I think that's like the last big one. There were a couple other things here and there, like Atom Fall was one that looked kind of
Nah, I'm
cool.
good.
That
Yeah,
yeah,
April it is. You're screaming April to me, buddy.
yeah. Now let me just figure out what the first. I guess the first one that would have been of interest besides yet another Last of Us 2 remaster
Bro,
for
can we do one more,
the
dude?
PC.
I like to think that Neil Druckmann is stopping writing for the Last of Us HBO show, not because it's terrible, but because he really wants to remaster it one more time. You know, he's like, I've got one more in me, dude. I've got one more in me. Can we do a
My
Last
favorite
of Us
thing
Part Two
about that
remake?
post was a day later, someone quoted it and was like, Neil Druckmann threatens involvement in Naughty Dog games again.
Oh
uh,
dear.
but anyway, I guess the first like actual
Funny thing is, I love Neil. Is the
release
problem
of
is I like his games. That's the issue. Uncharted 4 is my favorite Uncharted game, so it's like I just sit there and I'm like, it's funny. Sorry. Anyway, carry on. I know you're gonna say Blueprints. I know that's what you're gonna say. The magic words.
the actually I was gonna say South of Midnight first.
Oh, that came out this year, didn't it? Oh yeah.
Yeah, it did. I
Mhm.
haven't played it yet, but it still looks super cool. I like its vibe, and I'm sure I'll be all over it when they inevitably put it on PlayStation.
Da, 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 da. Yeah, man. Yeah, I haven't played it, and I will not be playing it when it comes to PS5 because it's not really my jam. But I here's the thing: is I respect it, but this is what I'm gonna put an asterisk on this respect because I have a feeling that Xbox is never gonna let people do stuff like this again. I respect allowing developers to make cool looking games with cool art styles and going in on um narratives that aren't just focused on what we've seen before, going into different cultures and exploring them, or just having, we're talking like Keeper coming out later from Double Fine, just like these
Yeah,
these games that are just allowed to be creative and having that freedom is really cool. I like that quite a bit. Again, will we see anything like this ever again? I don't know. Knowing
yeah, who
Xbox, probably
knows?
not.
But um, it's nice that this got to exist before getting the boot.
Definitely.
So yeah, and it is real cool to see things explore like aspects that like deep South folklore. It's like a few years back when they had that. I don't remember what it's called anymore, but that Indian mythology game. It was like
Oh
a
yeah,
action adventure. I don't remember what it's called right now. I think it was like Raji or something.
yeah, it was something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, that's cool. I don't really see much about.
Raji, an ancient epic was what it was called.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't see games exploring that mythology very often, except like a couple of like Persona will sometimes cast their net that way.
Yeah, say it
But
with us, everybody. Roman, Greek, 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 Norse. There you go. That's what we do in the video
yeah,
game
yeah.
landscape. Um,
Mm.
but no, it's cool to see. I hope that people that played it did enjoy it.
Yeah. And then next up would be Blueprints,
Dude, what a
the
game, dude!
indie
As
the,
someone who hasn't played it, what a game, dude! What a game! You know, what a game.
indie darling of the year so far, as far as
Blueprints is definitely the game of the year that I've spent the most time watching from a viewer's perspective. Here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen, is unfortunately I do not have the attention span to play a game like Blueprints because I get frustrated at these kinds. Roguelites are one of the weird games to me where it's like if I don't feel like I'm making progress, I instantly like fall off of them. And Blueprints was one of those games where I played I did 3 days in it. The first I was playing it on Game Pass. First day, I was like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing. Day two, I did even worse, and then day three, I did even worse than that. And I'm like, I'm out of here, bro. I don't get this game. Um, and then
I
I've
think it took me like 5 to 10 to feel like I was getting the hang of things in a way that I understood where to build things out with.
But what I have done is I've seen a lot of people playing it, and just watching everybody else fall in love with it has really made me appreciate the game in a way that I know that I won't personally appreciate it from a gameplay. I'm not a huge puzzle game guy. Um, I like my puzzle games from time to time. I am a normie puzzle player though, you know. I'm sitting here going, "Hey, Portal 2, isn't that a great game?" Yeah, yeah. Says everybody ever. But watching a lot of streamers play it, in particular watching Northern Lion play it was a very enjoyable experience because it's just like there's just something about watching somebody else's brain tick, which is just very interesting. Where I'm like, oh, this is fun. Also, because it's not me, because I get like I say, I get angry at myself when I can't figure something out. I'm just like, how do I like get frustrated? But yeah, people like Northern Lion, Premier Two. There's a couple of other streamers that I watched play it, and I was like, oh, this is great. I haven't watched enough of it to know what the flip is happening, or you know, if I still went back in the game hunter, I genuinely still don't know the answer to how you get to the final room. But you know, I watched a lot of it to go, oh, this is cool. I like it. You beat the tutorial though, right? I think you did. You got to the end of it.
I did, yeah. Or well, some people would say I
Yeah, the
completed the
tutorial. Yeah.
tutorial, but to those people I say I'm good.
But
But
you haven't
yeah,
done the
it was
16 different endings, dude. You haven't found the blue throne room, bro. Like what are you doing?
so that's the thing is like it was compelling enough to like learn the because I think mechanically the combinate because there is a abundance, a saturation of roguelikes these days where it's you hear about a game and you flip a coin and it's either a Souls-like or a roguelike or sometimes both. And
And I don't know which one
I
annoys
feel
me
like
more.
yeah, and I feel like at least with this, the structure of a roguelike and a puzzle game is something kind of unique.
Yeah.
So, it was enough to, it gave me the general goal I was trying to achieve. And then I was able to make enough progress as I played to, feel like it was still tantalizing the possibility of getting there was. But when I achieved that goal, that was it.
Yeah.
And like there was story and stuff that I was seeing as I was doing all this, but the problem is that it is indirect and because of that, hoping to get a room to learn the next piece of the puzzle is something that I'm not down for, really. It
Yeah, yeah.
feels like it'd be because then I don't even have the general goal that I'm working towards anymore. So one of these days I'm just gonna like listen to a video at work that's like, oh, this is what Blueprints' story was all put together or whatever.
But yeah,
Because I got bits and pieces of it, but
I
you
respect
know.
the fuck out of this game. I really do. It's one of those games, and I think it'll go down in history in the same in the same list of games. It'll be there with Undertale. It'll be there with Stardew Valley. It'll be there with Balatro of these single dev video games that are passion projects that just take the world by storm, dude. Like the fact that it's like one person worked on this game for a decade and you can tell just because of how absolutely batshit insane it is, where we're sitting here, you know, almost what 4 months later, and people are still
Yeah.
questioning if anybody has actually finished the video game. People still don't know if they found everything that Blueprints has to offer, and that's insane. Like that is actually insane. Um, but no, great stuff. Definitely,
Yeah.
if we're putting our bets on stuff, this is definitely the indie game of the year front runner in terms of it'll be the one indie pick that Jeff always puts in his top 6 games of the year category that definitely won't win, but it'll be there in shining lights, and I think this will be the one. Um,
Yeah, yeah, short of Hollow Knight actually coming out or
I think even with Hollow Knight, I think it's got a very high
yeah,
chance of just being Blueprints.
yeah.
Um,
Or potentially Mina the Hollower too. Just but you know, we'll we'll get to that later on, I suppose. The rest of April was
yep,
mostly quiet. Uh had a the
was a surprise
PS5 got the
though.
port of Indiana Jones.
Oh, we can talk about that now. Yeah, it's not on the Xbox, so I
Yeah.
think it goes up in 2 points on Metacritic. I think that's how that works, right? Is that how it works?
Yeah,
Uh,
how much did Kyle beat you by last year? Because maybe
yeah,
maybe
maybe
this makes
maybe
the
maybe it adds it up.
maybe it
Yeah,
scores proper now.
yeah, man. Yeah. Yeah, Indiana Jones is still fantastic. I was jokingly sitting there. You know, I still haven't finished it to this day. A game that I did put on my like top 6 games of the year or whatever I did, and I still do sit there and I was like, dude, I really enjoyed like those 6 hours that I played of it. I really should go back and finish it. Um, because I'm just sitting there going, bro, what am I doing? Although I look back at that list and I'm like, dude, I know video game opinions are malleable. I know that they shift from time to time, and I look back
Yeah.
and I'm like, bro, it's been 6 months, and I can already tell you right now, Astrobot was game of the year. I was wrong. I shouldn't have had. You know, it's like I made a choice. It was like I was sitting there going, "It's Astrobot. It's Astrobot." I'm like, "Oh, but is it Final Fantasy?" And I listened to the little voice in my head that was like, "Yeah, it's Final Fantasy." And now I'm 6 months later. I'm like, that little voice is stupid. It was definitely Astrobot. Let's rewrite the history books, dude. It was Astrobot. Okay. Um, but yeah, Indie's fantastic. But I'll get to it
Yeah.
eventually. Will it be on PS5? I don't know. The physical copy don't fucking work, so who cares? Um, it's
It
got like
doesn't.
2 gigs of data on it. Yeah, you have to download the rest of it.
Oof. Oh, that's annoying.
I
But
know, right?
and yeah, the next thing would have been the Elder Scrolls Oblivion remaster. That is
Shocked
the worst
everybody.
kept secret
Yeah.
of
At least this year. It seems like every
yeah,
year there's
at least
another
this
worst
year.
kept secret, dude. You know? Yeah. It was a remake of Oblivion. It was more of a remake. It was like the code of Oblivion running in the background, an Unreal Engine 5 version of the visuals was rendered on top of it in a weird kind of
Yeah,
mishmash of a what it, I think everybody's fine with calling it a remake now.
yeah,
I
yeah.
bought
It's like a
this. I played it for about like 4 hours, and then this little other indie game came out. Um, don't know if you've heard of it, called what's it? Is it Claire? I don't remember what the name of it is. Anyway, so I was playing that instead, and then I just never went back. And the problem with like these games with Bethesda games is they take up like a month of your life. Like you just have to commit to the bugger to get it done, right? You like there's no golden pathing a Bethesda game because that is like
the worst way to
the
experience
worst
one of
place.
them.
Yeah, it's the worst part of the game, right? So I'm like, I'll get to you eventually when I'm ready, which might be in 5 years' time. It might be in a couple of months. Who knows? But I'll get to it. It's
Yeah,
solid
I'm
though.
glad to have this available to me because I've ever since I played Skyrim all those years back, but learned about Oblivion a little later. I'm like, oh man, I probably would have liked this one more. So
You know what?
having
Yeah.
it having
Now
it
do
available to
Morrowind,
me
dude.
to go
Do
and try.
Morrowind. That's what you need to do. Do
Um,
Morrowind. That's when we start pogging, dude. That's when we start living a little. Try that, you cowards. Make Morrowind again. Um, yeah, I think again though, it's like it's one of those weird ones where it's like, who won the most out of this? And I genuinely would say, hey, if you're a PlayStation fan, you probably won the most because if you're on PC or Xbox, you could already play Oblivion because they were both backwards compatible on both of those. So obviously on PC, you can play the old version. On
yeah,
Xbox, it was backwards compatible. PlayStation had no way of playing Oblivion. So it's like, oh, on modern systems. Oh, cool. Play Oblivion now. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Um,
So it's one
Sick
of
for
those
everybody
things. I'll look
involved,
at.
but hey, yeah. And again,
Yeah.
another Xbox graciously passes a W over to PlayStation again of hey, you can have this game as well. How kind of you, Phil? How kind. I'll still play it on PC where God intended, but you know, thanks for the offer. Anything else from April?
Um. Well, there's the last line, 100 Defense Heroes, or however that title is ordered
Last
from the
line, oh
Danganronpa
yeah,
developer.
yeah.
But neither of us have played it yet, and every time I hear about it being good, it sounds like a threat. So we'll just talk about it
Yeah, you
in
know, it's
33
like
instead.
I feel like being a Danganronpa fan is like being in witness protection because it's like we're one of the few people that like those games for like the wrong reasons, which are like, you know, we like a trashy kind of script and we like dumb like murder mysteries and we like the stupid plot through. Like it's like everything that a Danganronpa fan is, I don't want to be a part of that. And I'm like, I can't tell
Yeah.
if Last Line, whatever it's called, 100 Line, Last Defense Academy, I can't tell which side of the spectrum it's on. Is it on deranged Danganronpa fan or more normal Danganronpa fan level of enjoyment? I don't know where it lies.
I
Um,
don't know, but every time I hear it's like 100 plus hours, I'm like, there's no way.
I'm like, yeah, good luck with that, mate. You made 100 endings, and some of these games I struggle to find the one ending, so good luck with that.
Oh my god! Imagine if all 100 ending. Yeah, I guess I could see a way that it's 100 hours if there's like that many endings and they all go on as long as a
Yeah, they all have
Danganronpa
a
ending.
Junko 1 hour spiel at the end of each one, dude. Yeah.
Most of the game will be ending.
True, true. Uh, and that was it for April. There was no big
Yeah,
game, dude. Nothing else. Obviously, no. The other big one came out the same week. Claire Obscure Expedition 33, a little indie game by Sandful Interactive that nobody played at all whatsoever. Um, yeah, we're about what 2 months on, 2.5 months on from Expedition 33 Hunter. How are you feeling about Expedition 33? Still,
I still really like this game. I still think it's my favorite thing that I've played to completion so far this year.
it's my game of the year still at the moment. Going this far into the year, having played
Yeah,
roughly about, I'd like to say half of Death Stranding 2. I still,
I would
it's one of those
probably
things where
yes.
I was having this conversation with a friend, right, where they were like, um, oh, but you love Death Stranding 1. I'm like, yeah, I do love Death Stranding 1. But it's like, when you're coming to Game of the Year conversation, I'm much more interested in the new, like, if it's more of the same but good versus new thing that you absolutely loved, I'm going to go with new thing that I love just because it's like, I love Death Stranding too. I love it to pieces. I've also
Unless
played
it's the
Death
case of
Stranding.
Final Fantasy VII Rebirth versus Astropod.
Yeah, and this is I've come to the yeah, Hunter, I've come to the realization, dude, where it's like I am a fool. I should go with where my heart leads, which is Astrobot, or in this case, Expedition 33, where it's like, I genuinely hadn't played a game like Expedition 33 before, and I don't want to diminish other JRPGs that I've played, but there was something about Expedition 33's story that really did hit a chord with me, which a lot of JRPGs fail to do. And I don't know why a lot of JRPGs fail to do that. It might be because Expedition 33 treats all of its characters as actual people and not just, you know,
Archetypes.
archetypes or weird bait for whatever Twitter fetish you're trying to throw that at. But, you know, it's like there's something about the way Expedition 33 handles its story and handles its characters, which I really think is rarely done in JRPGs. So it was like you have this incredible combat system from that very much merges a lot of systems from video games that I very much love and merges it with this story that I really cared about and was really engaged with. And it's just like this perfect formula where it's like it's managed to blend the two together so well that I sit there and I'm like, it's one of those few games where I sit there and when I'm like, oh, I have criticisms. They often feel like nitpicks, though. It honestly feels like I'm sitting here
Yeah.
and there's a game I very much love, and I'm trying to almost be like, "Oh, you got to be I've got to be critical about everything, so I'm going to nitpick this or I'm going to nitpick that." And I'm going to
Like,
be like, "Yeah,
could it use a mini map? I guess, but
yeah."
if you just run north, you'll
Could it use
find
a
the
mini
exit.
map? Yes. Does the twist in the second half of the game not really work for me that well until the ending? Yes. I think there is a gap near the end where there's a bit of the game where I'm like, I'm not liking this. Like, I'm not like you're losing me. There's a little bit at the end where I'm like, you're losing me. It gets me back by the end, but there is a little moment there where I'm like, you're losing me, guys. Get your hands back on the wheel. And they
Yeah,
do. But they were all very minor nitpicks on what is a very special game. I feel like it feels like one of those rare games that it feels almost like a near automata where I'm like, I think people in 10 years are going to still be talking about Expedition 33.
yeah. I have like a similar. Yeah, I think one of the phrases I threw at it in my review was instant classic, and I really do mean that in the way of like this will be notched up like right next to Persona 5 as far as, next great turn-based RPG in
It
the
really is up there. Like,
timeline.
genuinely. Um, Sandfall are now like, no pressure for them, but it's like that next game is gonna be like on everybody's radar. Like, it
Yeah.
genuinely is. And I feel like there's two paths you can go down with like something like this. You can either double down and keep it the way that you're making it, smaller team, smaller budget, and you just go hard with whatever you're working on next. Or somebody ends up wanting, like, they end up exploding because everyone wants in on this success. I really hope they do just stay it down the path. Like, I really hope that they do just like, smaller team,
Dude,
smaller
everything
development
they
cycle.
accomplished with just who they have is insane.
Insane.
Like I don't think that the big story of this year as far as, observing the industry is smaller teams are winning.
100%. 100%. I
And I don't see any reason to jeopardize that.
Dude, I'm not a betting man. I don't bet on things at all. I'm not a gambler. I would put strong money, like virtual, on strong V bucks, dude. I'd put, HGO dollars, dude. I'd put a lot of HGO dollars down. That I do. This is the front runner for Game of the Year, and I think it
Yeah.
will be till the end of the year. I still think that
Yeah.
even if your Silk songs come out, I genuinely think that it's going to be very hard for something to beat this game for Game of the Year, because it just has the narrative. It has that winning narrative, and I'm not talking about the game's narrative. I'm talking about the narrative of its journey that it's gone on as a developer. The fact that
Yeah.
they found their lead narrative, the narrative lead on this game was somebody who replied to a post on Reddit to do voice acting work for a demo they were making, and then they came in on that and they were like, "Oh, do you want me to help write some lines?" And then they became the narrative lead. Or how the composer for this game was found on a random
Was
music board that no longer exists, and they both happened to be on it on the same day. It's like there's so many weird coincidences that managed to make this game a reality, where you just sit there and you go, like, it's a miracle this game came out, never mind it be as incredible as it is.
yeah.
Like I say, I wasn't planning on even buying it, and then everybody was talking about it. I was like, I've got to get in on this now. It was one of those ones where I was like, I'll wait for it to go cheap. I'm like, no, I guess I'm getting it now.
When yeah, I remember when I picked it as early as I did in the Fantasy Critic, you and Kyle were like, "Huh?"
I specifically was like, I want this to be an incredible game. I'm like, this is either gonna. I think I remember saying something along the lines of, this is either gonna be an incredible game, like Game of the Year contender, or it's gonna be a 70. Like, I was like, there's no in
Yeah.
between, and I guess I was right. I was too hesitant to go for gold, but it
Yeah.
genuinely is fantastic. I love this game. I genuinely do. I think about it all the time. I think about that ending all the time. Like, it's one of
Yeah.
those. I want other people to play that game so I can just have conversations with people about the ending and how they think it plays out.
God knows you
Because
need other people to talk to because looking at the conversation surrounding the ending
mm,
on the internet is not good.
I can't wait. I genuinely,
uh,
I think they deserve all the flowers, like, genuinely, that they're getting. It's a brilliant game, and I genuinely think, like I say, the next Clair Obscur game, you just know. You're like, we're gonna, there'll be a moment where you're sitting there in a couple of years' time, and you're watching a trailer, and you're like, "Is this what I think it is?" And you'll see the subtitle come up first, and then Clair Obscur will fade in, and you'll be like, "Holy shit." You're
Yeah,
like, that's what you know, that that's what's gonna happen, is there's gonna be a point in the next 5 years of your life where you're like, "Holy shit, let's fucking go." And I can't
that
wait.
will be great.
Yeah, I can't wait. Also, Forza came to PS5 in April. Thanks,
Oh
Xbox.
yeah, yeah.
And do you know
Dude,
what I
I
did,
think
Hunter? Do you
that
know how
one
I
like
celebrated?
genuinely
I bought it on
slipped me
PC.
by. I
Yeah.
was like, I remember, or like later on, like weeks later, people were talking about Forza for some reason. I'm like, did this come to PlayStation? Is this why the people are talking about this now?
The people
Or
were
I think I
talking
saw
about
like
it because
maybe
of
a
that, yeah.
review, yeah,
I mean,
or something.
I love Forza Horizon. It's like, it was one of the it's quite possibly the best racing game I've ever played. Forza Horizon 5 is brilliant. It is fantastic. And lucky for everybody involved, it's the only Forza that will be made from now on, because they have killed the other half of the franchise. Hooray! I love
Yeah.
I love talking about Xbox, dude, because that's the thing, is you want to sit there, you know what I mean? You're like, all things considered, if you take out all the shitty business practices, Hunter, they have been, they really have improved over the last 5 years in terms of games and in terms of output. But
Yeah,
they've
in
just
terms
like
of games
shot
and output,
themselves.
they've improved, but
They've shot
I
themselves
feel
in the
like
foot
it's
with a 12
destined
gauge
to be
shotgun.
short-lived.
You know what I mean? Like, they've literally got like, oh, this is going too well.
Yeah, it's insane.
But
So May seems or
pretty
starts
short.
off relatively quietly
Yeah.
for the first half. I don't really see, aside from a little indie thing that has my interest that I haven't played yet. Despelote is very got this very cool art style about soccer
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the in South America somewhere. I'm going to play it at some point this year because it's only like a couple hours and it seems neat. So
Mm-hmm.
that'll be on there. But aside from that, it's all quiet until Doom the Dark Ages shows up.
You played it.
I sure did. I really liked this one. I think it's of the modern three, and I guess by default the rest of the series that I played, my favorite one.
Mm.
Just the general way about the general flow of the combat. I feel like just speaks to me the most there. Where uh, I respect what they were doing with Eternal and its little triangle plate spinning of resources and all of that. And I really enjoyed it when I played it, and I really enjoyed it when I revisited it, a few weeks before Dark Ages. But I think Dark Ages, the flow was a bit more freeform. I had more freedom to do what I wanted when I wanted to do it, and that that speaks to me a little bit more. Also, aesthetically speaking, the medieval vibe is a very cool backdrop to put in a Doom game.
Yeah.
I like it a lot for that. The only thing that kind of takes a hit is the music not being done by Mick Gordon,
Mm-hmm.
because there was no real standouts for me while I was playing the game. But aside from that, I had a great time with Doom: The Dark Ages.
I think it's a testament to id and the new trilogy, where people are saying, it's my favorite or it's my least favorite, and it's not because the game is bad, but it's just because they have, they've gone 3 for 3 on hitting with the modern Doom trilogy, where it's like you can pick a favorite out of any of them, and all of those opinions are valid. Where it's like somebody whose favorite is Doom Eternal, completely valid. They love that almost kind of fast-paced gameplay loop, or you like the original because you just like the run and gun, or the new, the stop and shoot and the shield and stuff like that with Doom the Dark Ages. The fact that they've made 3 games that are all the same, fundamentally the same formula, but these little changes to the gameplay loops and the way that they play means that you can have a favorite out of any of them. It's kind of interesting. I like that quite a
It
bit.
kind of reminds me in a way of like the like core Metal Gear Solid games,
Mm.
in a way that like those all felt close enough to each other that they do feel like they're in the same series.
Yeah.
But at a gameplay level, all of them are like fundamentally different in a number of ways, where you can't really begrudge anyone who picks one over the other for the favorite.
Hell yeah.
Um, the rest of May was a little quieter there, I
There
would
really
say.
was. It's like, I heard positive things about little bits and pieces. That Fantasy Life game that came out for everything
Oh
that
yeah,
like people seem to like that if you're into that. Um yeah, May
just
was
the
pretty quiet.
remaster of Onimusha 2 came out sometime near the end. I haven't played that yet, but it's on my list. I'm holding out that they'll do a physical version.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Big one obviously at the end, Elden Ring Nightreign came out. Um didn't play the full release, did play the beta, wasn't a huge fan, so I didn't buy the full release. I don't know, there's just the games as a servicification, the gasification of modern video games. I don't know, man. I just don't care for it. Like, I genuinely, oh, do you want to play Elden Ring, but in a 20-minute burst? No,
yeah, I don't get it, man.
I just want to play Elden Ring. And then if you're asking me nicely, really what I want is I just want to go and play Bloodborne. That's what I really want. If you're asking me nicely, can I get a
Yeah,
PS5/PC port of that, please? Thank you. Um, yeah, it's fine. People seem to like it for what it's worth, but yeah, it just seems like I don't know. It just seems to me it seems pointless. It just seems pointless to me. It seems like a distraction from what we really
the
should
thing
care about.
that's confusing about it the most is that it seems like the whole you're under a time limit to go and do like the most you can with the amount of time
Yeah,
you're given like these things seems direct opposition of go and explore and find stuff.
yeah, yeah. It does.
So
It feels
like
weird.
you'll never find something unless you have somebody who knows a guy, or unless you're playing with somebody who already knows better.
Yeah,
It's
it feels weird. I also feel it's very weird that they have two of these running at the same time with Duskbloods also being a games as a service kind of thing. I think it's very weird.
yeah,
But I
yeah. That
also
was
here's the thing is I think in again I could be wrong about what Duskbloods is, but Duskbloods seems to me to be eight or so people are in a world and you're leveling up so that you can be the last one to survive, like you're fighting each other almost at the end of it, which to me sounds
yeah,
like a more interesting concept for a multiplayer game than you have 20 minutes to run around to fight a boss, to level up enough to fight a boss, like together.
also aesthetically speaking, I think that one looks more pleasing in that regard.
True, but
Characters seem
remember,
to have
Hunter, it is being made for Switch 2, so it could run like shit. Let's find out, ladies and gentlemen. We've still only had one Switch 2 game, so never forget. Anyway, it's time for June.
And speaking of the Switch 2, we had a
Hooray!
console launch.
Fucking hell. Doesn't feel like.
Uh,
Um,
a whole shotgun of things that we could pick from.
well, first,
Um,
let's talk.
yeah,
Deltarune Chapter 3 and 4 came out the day
it sure
before,
did.
June 4th. Any thoughts on the continuing saga of Deltarune that doesn't spoil it for poor Ethan, who has not played Deltarune yet?
I still really like where the story is going. The way that Chapter 3 ended almost made me wish that it was a standalone release, just because it kind of it has a cliffhanger in a way that I wish he had made people sit with. But because of Chapter 3 and the way that like a lot of the development time on that one seems to have went towards the Tenna, the guy who's serving in like the not really villain, but kind of like antagonistic, pushing the story forward for that part role. And all of his animations being this weird, like Donkey Kong, old Mortal Kombat mocap kind of 3D
Yeah,
animation, where it's like, I understand how that took so long to do, but also the final result for Chapter 3 meant it was a little shorter.
yeah,
And then Chapter 4, I really liked what they were doing with that one too, as far as it seems to really be pushing, setting you up for the next phase of the story. and where the last three parts will be going.
Yeah, because it's so yeah, they yeah, so it's Deltarune is always a weird one to me. We've been talking about Deltarune, it seems like forever, and it's probably because genuinely we have been talking about it since like 2018, so it's been a while. Um, Again, I don't know when I'm gonna start picking up Deltarune. It's like I'm like, should I just start playing it and then get in with everybody else? But there is a part of me that's just like, I just want to play the full thing when it's done. Like, I genuinely just want to play the full thing when it's done. And it's like, what? Okay, we were up to chapter 4 out of 7. That's we're over halfway, I guess. But it's like, what? I think it's announced that chapter 5 will be in 2026, so we know that there'll probably be a chapter next year.
He does claim that at the end of the credits for 4.
So you're at least getting one chapter next year. My hope
Yeah,
would be 2. Like, I'm just like,
yeah, yeah.
can
I
we
don't know.
get it out, please? Like, but I'm glad to see that people are still liking it, people are still enjoying it. It's the kind of game that works for an episodic format because obviously Undertale was so beloved, and I think having these bursts of fan engagement really does help in terms of getting word out on it. But also at the same time, does Deltarune need help with its word getting out? No, it's
Yeah, no,
Deltarune.
not really. But the one thing I can say is maybe with the exception of 3, which was on the shorter end, uh, each part feels like it stands on its own pretty solidly
I
too.
think he said Toby Fox has said something along the lines of there's as much content and it's taken as in terms of content wise for chapters 1 through 4. There's something like half a dozen Undertales in there so far, where it's like the amount of work that he's put into it and all the extra stuff that they've crammed into it. It's like he obviously it's very clear that this isn't a situation like you find on the internet where games are taking forever because no progress is being made. Like he has genuinely been working on this for a long time, and they're putting a lot of
Yeah,
effort into it. Um, but
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Like I said a minute ago, like 2 minutes into playing chapter 3, I was like, oh, that's where all the resources went.
yeah, yeah. But
But yeah, and as far as like the games on their own or the chapters on their own, I still think chapter 2, the 6 hours or so that is, I like more than any segment of Undertale, I would say.
interesting.
So it's not to mention just
We shall get to it
how it
eventually,
will
ladies and
come
gentlemen.
across as a whole.
I did buy it on Switch too, so I will get to it eventually. But who knows? A little birdie told me there's a platinum trophy on PS5, and your bugger loves platinum trophies on
Oh
PS5.
boy.
Oh, mate, will he double dip on a game he won't play for another 17 years? Let's find out. Um, the day after that, June 5th, little console called the Nintendo Switch 2 came out. I mean, let's start with the console itself. Hunter, 1 month in, how are you feeling about the Switch 2 and its many video games? Like, how are you feeling?
I mean,
Um,
I've been enjoying the machine for what it's doing for me so far. As far as played Deltarune on it, re- just a few weeks ago now, I played Metroid Fusion. I've been having a lovely little reunion with Soul Calibur too. I love that game.
it's um, it's an interesting one because it's exactly what everybody wanted, which is a more powerful Switch. But it is also, dude. We've been saying this. I don't think we said it on the podcast, but we've definitely been saying it in um, private chats or whatever. I think Mario Kart might have been the wrong call. I feel like Donkey Kong should have come first because
Yeah,
even having Mario Kart isn't a real game. And what I mean by that is, it's like no one sits down and goes, "Okay, new console time. It's time to stick my teeth into There's nothing substantial about Mario Kart. It's race around these tracks, piss about for half an hour at a time or whatever, and move on. It's like
yeah.
it's a supplemental video game where it's like, oh, I don't feel like carrying on with my Donkey Kong game today. I'm just gonna play half an hour of Mario Kart. It's a supplemental game.
The thing that you said a couple weeks ago, the question you posed to me was, do you think Mario Kart is anyone's actual favorite, despite it being, the best-selling Switch game
Yeah, it came
the
from
first go around?
a games analyst called Chris String brought up on uh, his podcast a couple of months ago the idea that Mario Kart is everybody's second game, where it's like you buy a Switch for Zelda or you buy a Switch for Smash Brothers or Animal Crossing, and then you always get Mario Kart.
Yeah,
Well, it's your second game. Like you buy a Switch for something else, and then you always get Mario Kart at some point because it's a good game to have. And ever since he
yeah,
said that, I'm like, he actually might have a point. There are definitely people that that love playing Mario Kart and it's their favorite game, right? Fair enough. But for most people, I do think it is that second game to buy. Oh, I bought my Switch for Breath of the Wild. And then when Mario Kart came out, I did buy Mario Kart. But if I was a normal person, I wouldn't have bought the Switch for Mario Kart. I would have
yeah.
bought it. I would have waited for Splatoon or waited for, you know, Mario Odyssey or something like that. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, maybe, especially after that direct and how phenomenal Donkey Kong Bonanza looks, maybe it should have
Yeah.
launched with DK and then a month later Mario Kart comes out. Maybe that would have been the better play because I would have felt like I've played something. Because that's the thing is, I've played a lot of Mario Kart World and I still don't feel like I've played much of my Switch because
Yeah.
it doesn't like I don't. It's hard to judge a new console when you've not seen its capabilities. You know what I mean? It's like people always clown on the fact that PS5 has no games, and you're right to an extent, it still doesn't. But you at least had those next gen upgrades ready on day one, where I'm like, oh, that's the thing, is it's like I've played more Pokemon than I did Mario Kart, and I'm like, yeah, this is nice. Pokemon doesn't run like ass anymore. But it's like, oh, that's the that's the best comparison I have Hunter so far for Switch 2 is Pokemon Violet now runs like a video game should. And that's not like the best thing to compare it to, you know? I've dabbled a bit with Breath of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Wild, but I've played Breath of the Wild. I don't need to play it again right now. Like I've played the Switch 2 editions are great, but I've dabbled with it. Switch Welcome Tour isn't like, fucking check my review out on that. I gave that a 3 out of 5. I think I was being a bit fucking too fair. I should have given it a 2.
Yeah.
Um
But yeah, I know what you mean as far as I do think that I would be happier if Donkey Kong was the launch game because naturally I don't care about Mario Kart and Donkey Kong definitely has my interest. So if we
mhm.
were, sitting here on the other side of playing that already, I'd probably be a little more jovial.
I think my impressions of
But
the Switch 2 would be better if Donkey Kong come out first. Just because
yeah,
I would have had an experience where I'm like, oh, this is cool. You know, we've had it confirmed this week it's being made by the Mario Odyssey team. They will not say a single person's name who works on it, which to me suggests that it's a similar Persona 3 situation where it's like younger members of the team that were working on Odyssey, we've put them on this while the main team is still working on 3D Mario. It's probably what my guess is this is like a side project like they do, like Captain Toad and whatever. Like that's what this screams to me is like put the
my favorite
side
thing
team on
about
it.
Nintendo is how cagey they are about telling you who works on things. So they're like, if you want to actually know, you'll have to like cross-reference the credits
Yeah,
of
dude,
games.
like legitimately, like yeah. Um,
uh,
but yeah, I like my Switch too. I like it quite a bit. I've enjoyed dabbling and going back into those games, and the few that do have Switch, I think more games need Switch 2 upgrades. I really do. Um, there's so much of the Switch's library where I'm looking at those old Xenoblade games. I'm looking at Fire Emblem Three Houses. I'm looking at a bunch of games where I'm sitting there and I'm going, you know, if they did do next gen upgrades, like that would be the second half of my year. It would just be like, oh, I've how many years, Hunter, have I said I really would like to go back and do a second playthrough of Three Houses? If they did a Switch 2
oh
patch, then
yeah.
I would genuinely bump that up the queue. Like that would finally be like my attempt at a second route. Um, I also 100% agree with everybody's thoughts where everyone's sitting there going from a third party perspective. That's the thing. PS5 has no games. That's true, but from a third party perspective, there was a bunch of games that are just released, you know? There was, you know, even if they weren't that great, a new Watch Dogs, a new Assassin's Creed, you'd had I think Call of Duty had come out the week before or whatever. So from a basic perspective, you had Spider-Man Miles Morales came out, Demon Souls came out. You had stuff where it's like, "Oh, I can dabble straight away with stuff." Whereas here it's like Cyberpunk. I love Cyberpunk, and I think it's impressive that they've got it to run on Switch too. But if you've got another console, you've probably played Cyberpunk if you wanted to at this point.
Yeah, that's the kind of perspective you have to keep in mind. I think juggling you and I having, several consoles and we just play what we want when
Sometimes
it
several
strikes
of the
us.
same console because you're a
Yeah.
big freak. Not anymore. But
Yeah. But,
yeah,
on the other hand, some people who bought the Switch 2 probably only had a Switch. So it's good that they can play these now.
100%. Um, it's interesting. Like I say, it's one of those launches where we were expecting a direct by now, I think, and we haven't had it, which is
I
slightly.
know you were. I'm like, I think they're just taking the summer off.
I think that's slightly concerning though, because in my head, I'm sitting here and I'm going, Donkey Kong looks fantastic. I'm very much looking forward to Metroid. Pokemon's cool. Hyrule Warriors could be a hit or miss, but I'm like, is that it? Because I don't know if we like. Here's the thing, Hunter: is it's the difference between a company that was in desperation and a company that's sitting on top of their hill right now, where it's like the year one of Switch was the year of dreams, right? You literally got a 3D Mario, a new Zelda game, you got an enhanced Mario Kart, you got a new entry in Splatoon, you got a niche JRPG in Xenoblade 2 for the weird JRPG fans. You had
You got
a Mario and
arms.
Rabbids spin-off, you had ARMS. If you're a shitty Nintendo game enjoyer, you got 1-2 Switch. And it's like, this was all between March and December. This wasn't even the first year, technically. If you dip into that,
Yeah.
if you cross over, you've got some more there. Whereas now it's like, okay, you've got a Mario Kart, you've got a new DK game, you've got a Pokemon game that will also be on Switch 1, you've got a Metroid game that will also be on Switch 1, and you've got Hyrule Warriors, and you've got Drag X Drive that no one's going to buy. And you just sit,
Yeah.
and I'm just sitting, I'm like, I've bought this because I know I'm going to play it, and let's be honest, with the state of the economy and everybody's economy, prices probably will go up.
Yeah.
But I'm also sitting there and I'm like, I think the PS5 effect is happening to Switch really. I was like, I don't know why. I was expecting a little bit more from year one, dude. I was expecting a little bit more. Like I was expecting
I
an
think I think
RPG. I was
I
expecting
think
something
part of the
RPG wise.
I think part of the situation would be that e- because it launched in the middle of the year, they've got a little less time to work with, so they don't want to like release too much stuff on top of themselves.
True. I
Which
also think
there's
these
like a
expansion packs are also not helping because it's like, yeah, you've got Kirby again. If you're me and you haven't played Kirby yet, good for me. I get to play Forgotten Land in the best way possible. Thank God. Um, but if you've already played it,
or if you
you
don't care about it,
yeah, you don't care about
it's
it.
it's
It's a
lame
bit of
that
a
that
miss.
takes the slot of a big release.
It's like if and when the Xenoblade games get the same treatment. It's like if you're like me, best day ever. Hooray. Switch 2, great. I can, boot them all up and have a great time. But if you don't care about Xenoblade, you're not going to give a shit at all whatsoever, It's like, it's very weird that you've got these weird, like, to me, Mario Jamboree and Kirby should have also been launch games. Like, launch with a massive catalogue of
You
backwards
would think
compatibility.
so, right?
You'd think.
But no,
Mario
I
Party was the
guess not.
weirdest because they were like, this is the thing that uses the camera. I'm like, okay, so why is it not out at launch? Like, what am I being silly?
Yeah.
But no, I think it was a fine launch. I think the console is pretty good. I like it. The Joy-Cons are much better. Um,
I feel like we'll have nicer things to say when we're
by
on
the end of the year.
by the end of the year when we have actual like games to sink our teeth into, like Donkey Kong and Metroid.
Oh yeah. And don't get me started with game key cards and all that jazz. There's just been so much of a mixed bag around
Oh my
Switch
god.
2. Um,
Which has been the story of it since they revealed it, really, or since the
ever since the direct ended, we all
blowout.
came out of the
Yeah,
direct and went, "Oh, that was a great direct." And then the prize came out and the accessories came out and like everything just started trickling. And they've never
yeah,
been
and then
able
we're
to
like, oh,
regain control of the spiral since then, you know?
yeah.
But oh well. I'm getting a Donkey Kong and Pauline amiibo, so that's all I care about. And I bought a GameCube controller.
And
Hooray!
an N64
I
controller.
love Nintendo.
Uh, good stuff.
I can finally play Sunshine the way God intended. Anyway, anything else for June? For the most part,
No,
there have been little hits. Like I'll run through because obviously we're getting close to time, so we'll run through these. Obviously,
yeah,
like Stellar Blade got a PC port. That's cool. You know, there's a Five Nights at Freddy's game, so I'm sure a load of 8-year-olds cared. Peak from the Aggro Card people, another game that came out of nowhere that's done incredibly
it did.
well.
I'm
Um,
very happy for them. They did it in collaboration with another studio. I don't remember who
Landfall,
the other.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and I'd like to. Is that on everything or?
It's just on. It's
I'd
literally on
like to.
PC, so they can port that to anywhere now and
Yeah, well,
make some
that's
money.
nice. I if they put it on a console, I will check it out because I am an aggro crab soldier now.
Maybe that'd be a fun project because it's a multiplayer game, isn't it? Just get a couple
Yeah,
of us together, just to see if we can do it.
yeah.
Scream at each other.
This was not a win of the year, but this is perhaps the year's biggest disaster so far. Was in June. Mind's Eye came out.
That game's rough. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I remember this. This was slotted into the one state of play from a few months ago that was actually pretty good, and I remember this being like the low point of it, where I'm like, "What's going on with this thing? This looks,
it's always
this
given me an
looks."
ick ever since I've seen it. Like even before then, and I was not wrong. The gut feeling was true.
Yeah, it looks
Um,
like a PS3 not Grand Theft Auto game.
yeah, but yeah, there was a couple of other things. Date Everything came out. FBC Firebreak. Um, Rematch from the Seafood devs.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
came out, and then obviously the big game at the end of the month, still in the minds at the moment currently. Death Stranding 2 on the beach.
On the
The worst
beach
time. Still don't know why it's called that. Halfway through the game, by the way. Still don't know why
because
that's
he
called
likes
it.
movies.
uh, yeah, this game's great. I'm like 40
Oh
hours
yeah,
in. Um, it's pretty good. Um, I'm having a great time. Um, I'm like again, Kojima doesn't miss, dude. The fact that he's like, yeah, the America that you worked so hard to connect has been basically bought out by an by a corporation instantly, and you work for work for a president who has no name, a tattoo on his neck, and they're called APAC, and you're just like, he doesn't miss, dude. What a legend!
yeah,
You love to see
yeah.
it.
It is insane.
Kojima
It is
doesn't miss.
hilarious. My favorite part is that he's voiced by Mimir, and then also who shares a voice actor with Senator Armstrong from Metal Gear Revengeance.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Um,
that's my favorite bit of this guy's existence so far.
but yeah, you just love it, dude. There's so much about this game that I love. There's still plenty of theory crafting to be had, but it's not as batshit as the original. Um, I think that a lot of it more is. I think a lot of the things this time are. I'm sitting there and I'm like, I think I know what this is, but I don't know if Kojima's got another plot twist in him. You know what I mean? Where it's like, there are characters in this game
I'm waiting for some other shoe to drop.
there are
Yeah,
characters in this game like
quite literally in one
Tomorrow
case.
and yeah, there are characters like Tomorrow and there are characters like Charlie where I feel like in my head I've come to my conclusions on what they are and the plot twist that is going, but I'm like I think that's what he's doing. I'm like maybe he's not, but I think I know what he's doing or tried to do here. I don't know. Um
I think something to keep in mind is with at least my own memory of the first Death Stranding is a lot of it felt weird until you got to the end. It feels like it took until the end of the game for everything to kind of snap into place
yeah.
properly. So, while we're sitting here waiting for whatever mix up he's gonna throw at us, I'm sure something will come.
I think this game does do a better job though of having its story actually play out in real time. I feel like you are actually learning a lot. Whereas like Death Stranding 1 does feel like a lot of pissing about, and then it literally does tell you the entire plot within the last like 3 hours. Whereas this one actually does feel like it is feeding you bits and pieces throughout, which I do like. Um I think the game is great. I was saying to you, it's like one of those very few games I'd probably put Final Fantasy VII Rebirth up there, as it's one of the very few games that actually feels like a PS5 game, where I'm like sitting there and I'm like going, oh, this feels like a PS5 game. This looks like an actual generational leap off of Death Stranding 1. And then there's a bit
Yeah, it
later on
does.
where I literally sent to a friend, I sent to you, oh no, it's a PS6 game, dude. Like there's one section where I'm like, oh, these are
Oh
wizards,
yeah.
dude. There's a
Oh my
PS6
god.
game moment where I'm like, this shouldn't
That's what
work.
he
That's
does.
impressive. Um, but yeah, I like the game a lot so far. I think it's pretty fantastic. I'm looking forward to it. I'm taking my sweet time, but I'm also like, how much longer can I stay in the mines and not be spoiled? So I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I might this week. I might try and speed up on at least because I know Donkey Kong's out soon to try and at least get the
Yeah.
plot done, so then I can just carry on portering my way around for a while because that's what I tend to do.
Yeah.
I will
That's
probably
the
try and get
that's
the
the
plot
one
done.
nice thing about this game and spoilers is unless you know what it means, you don't know what it means. So
Yeah, yeah. 100%. I there was a thing that I saw where I was like, "Oh, is that a massive spoiler?" And then it's like, "No, it's like a very insignificant thing that just showed up randomly."
yeah,
It's
like the
still,
most I
yeah,
know about this game, aside from like the couple of trailers before I went dark, was I've seen some of the extra people that show up here and there when you meet them, as far as
see, I'm
like
still
in the
trying to.
facilities.
You see, what I find interesting is I don't anymore. Like, and like end of chapter 7. I don't think I know anything about this game further on. The last in my
I think
head,
everybody that I've seen is showing up now because like I've seen like the data scientist before. I saw her
yeah, there was the
and people.
VTuber. I
Yeah.
knew churches were in the game, which was is also as a prepper, which was pretty early on. Um, I think for the most part, I have seen every like the thing that I was very surprised at how late into the game it was that Troy Baker scene that was like one of the first scenes that the game they ever
Oh
showed.
yeah.
It might have been the first scene of the game that they ever showed at the end of the first trailer. I think it was. Um, that's I've just done that. So it's like, oh, I think I'm completely.
Yeah.
When people were joking, I know people were joking when the Summer Game Fest trailer played, and people were like, I haven't got to that bit yet. I haven't got to that bit either. And I'm like, I'm 40 hours in, and I have also not seen whatever
Luckily,
that is.
I didn't watch that trailer, so I don't even have to wait on
Dude, I don't even
whatever it is.
remember what it really was on about, to be honest. So,
Yeah, that's the nice thing
yeah.
about it.
But also, if it's anything like Death Stranding 1, like I say, I'm like, oh, I'm on chapter 7. I'm like halfway through. If it's anything like knowing him, the last like 8 chapters are probably 2 hours between all of them. Because like that's the weird way that the last game did it. It was like chapters 11 through 14 or whatever were 4 hours between them all combined because it was
Yeah.
mainly cutscenes. We'll see though. I'm liking it. I like it quite a bit. Um, I'll say this one, so I don't know how you feel about this. Is I like the game a lot, but I think the atmosphere isn't as good. And what I mean by that is
Mhm.
there's something about the Scandinavian dreariness of Kojima's USA that I think is kind of
It felt
missing
a
from this
little more
one.
isolating,
Yeah.
which I guess it makes sense that it would be a different vibe. So it'd just be a matter
Hmm.
of taste, I
Yeah.
guess, because you'd want to see some kind of substantial difference moving to a different place, if the state of the world being different after the events of the other game. But I know what you mean. I think he still does a good job at like hitting the same kind of notes in a different
Yeah.
tone.
Yeah, that's like my main thing is I love it. I think it's great. I think from a story perspective, it's a lot stronger. There's a lot less exposition and a lot more just kind of actual narrative in play. I think there's a lot of fun characters. Um, there is genuinely there are some parts where I'm like, is anything actually gonna happen here? There's a lot of stuff like with you. You obviously, if you've not played the game, you're on a ship. You've got like a ship with your crew on it a lot, and a lot of the times I just go in there and there's a scene, and I'm just like, yo, you're gonna give Norman anything, dude? Like he's just kind of standing here, dude. Like, can we have any bits
Dude,
of like?
one of my favorite parts was I think last night I was at something where Fragile was like, "Hey, tomorrow's started to be more chatty." So Norman Reedus goes into the ship and watches her have a conversation with someone else, despite Fragile,
Yeah,
telling you to go talk to her, and then it'd be like, "Oh, you must be tired. Go to sleep."
dude, there
And
was
I'm sitting
one
there like,
moment.
"Thanks, Morgana."
Obviously the game has the game is still like very much rooted in Dash. So there's I don't know how many nightmares you've seen. There's still nightmares that happen in the game, but there was a moment in the game where I was leaving the Magellan, and Tomorrow started talking to me, and I was like, this is a nightmare because these characters do not interact so far in the game. Like it has never been like I was, you know what I mean? Where it's like it's always fragile or it's always rainy. Who's like, come talk to come and watch this cutscene with me. Where she just came up to me immediately. I'm like, something's off here. I'm like
Yeah,
instantly.
yeah,
I'm just like, but hey, maybe it's just later on in the game things change. I don't know. We'll find out,
yeah.
right?
I
We'll
don't
find
know.
out. We'll find out.
I have
And
been
don't worry.
interested in like the little flashes that you get while you leave because I was able to figure out what was going on with them. I feel like earlier that some people never figured it out
Oh, with
in the first
Mads.
game. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then in this one,
I've got my theory.
seems
I've got my theory for this one.
yeah
Um,
the wheels are turning for me, but I'm sitting there got a couple of possibilities.
but that's a conversation for outside the podcast, unfortunately, Hunter, because we don't want to spoil people. But
Yeah,
don't worry, we'll be doing a spoiler cast definitely for this game as soon as we've both finished it. So look out for that in your podcast feeds or on the YouTube channel. Uh, I would not say shortly, but I will say probably within the next 1 to 2 weeks. That would be my guess. Uh, right, Hunter. We are
yep,
not going to go month by month through the rest of the year, but what I do want to do is pick out a couple of highlights for games that we're interested in for still to come. So if you are thinking, what am I going to play for the rest of the year? Don't worry, we've got your back. We're going to talk about some of the games that we're really excited with. Just starting with next week, dude. There's a couple of games coming out
yeah.
next week. Um, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 Plus 4 is out next
I'm
week.
super jazzed for that. It's a nice. I'm glad that this is the thing that's releasing on top of while I'm still gonna be playing Death Stranding because this is one where I can just be like, yeah, I'll play this for a few hours, maybe an afternoon, and then go back to the Death Stranding, and then the rest of it will be waiting for me when I want it.
Yeah, this is like the game where it's like I didn't give 1+2 a chance. I've not really played Tony Hawk before. So there's a part
Yeah,
of me that's like, with all the stuff coming to Game Pass, and Xbox in the next like year, I'm like, you can still get a year of Game Pass for pretty cheap. Like I think it's something like $70 or whatever, so it works out like $5 a month or whatever. I'm like, there might be enough coming out in the next year that I'm like, maybe this is the chance to, test the waters again, dip my feet into it. Maybe Tony Hawk's what gets me in there. Also, Patapon is getting a remaster that's coming to Switch and
oh
everything
yeah.
else, which I'm very interested in. I have not seen a physical edition of this yet, which makes me kind of sad because I would buy a Switch version of Patapon, Nintendo and Sony and Bandai Namco, whoever the fuck is supposed to be printing it. Please do. I would buy it. Uh, So yeah, that's a good day. Um, Obviously Donkey Kong Bonanza is out on the 17th of July.
Yeah,
We will be
super jazzed
buying, we
for
will be
that.
playing.
Looks real good.
There's just something about cheesy songs in Nintendo games that is just peak at this point, where it's
I
like,
like that that's just become the standard for
and it's
the
just great.
games. Like,
And
barring Zelda, every game gets a vocal theme song now.
yeah, legit. And it's like they're all bangers as well. Though there's the issue. It's like Jump
Yeah,
Up Superstar banger, Edge of Dawn banger,
yeah.
like Smash Bros
That one from
Ultimate.
Kirby.
Yeah, the Kirby one. Oh, the Kirby one. What a banger that one was, dude. Again, the Pauline one, the one that I was hearing at the end of the Donkey Kong Bonanza Direct, dude, where uh, The voice acting still questionable. If anything, though, that's the way I like my Nintendo voice acting. To be honest, is questionable. It's the best way to experience it.
Yeah.
But when Pauline is that I can already feel the power of the music when she's falling. She's like DK in the worst like scream I've ever seen in my life. But the music in the background, I'm like, this is gonna get me, dude. This music's gonna get me. I'm a sucker for good music. But yeah, looks fantastic. Shadow Labyrinth's the day after that. I'm still standing
Oh
by that
yeah.
game is gonna be just average. Love to be proven wrong though.
It's a neat looking idea for doing something with Pac-Man.
Dude, I've said it before and I'll say it again, and I don't know if this is just me being extremely harsh, but to me, it looks like what a teenager in 2005 would think is a cool idea. That's what that screams to me. Um, to me, I just sit there and I'm like, bro, if you're gonna make edgelord, like if you're gonna make an edgy thing, just make an edgy thing, dude. Like Pac-Man, I'm just like, it's just a bit too goofy for my fucking self personally. But hey, prove me wrong. I'd like to be proven. It also just feels weird because of that secret level thing last year. Now it
That's
just
what
feels like
it's
I'm being
like.
marketed. It just feels
It's
like,
like it was like based on that or something.
yeah, I don't know. It just makes me feel icky. I don't know why. Are you
Yeah.
marketing me a TV show, or did you make it because of the TV show, which I think is even worse? Like, just what are you doing? Let me know. Killing Floor 3 for all the Hunter enthusiasts out there.
Oh yeah, that one. It comes out like the day before Somnium Files, so I will not be picking it up on launch, but that means that it'll probably be plenty cheap around the holidays for me to play it with my siblings.
Yeah, same day Mario Party Jamboree gets its Switch 2 edition. Plus Jamboree TV, the worst name for a video game I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
I will be picking this up because I've never played Mario Party Jamboree. I do own it. It's like less than like $12 here in the UK, and I'm gonna just use that as a point where I'm just gonna get four friends around and we're just gonna play it and we're gonna see how bad Jamboree is. All good. Who knows? Be a fun experience. We'll see. Day after, yeah, no sleep for Konami Date from A the Somnium Files. We will be covering that on the channel just because Hunter is a freak. You looking
I
forward to it still,
sure
Hunter?
am. Oh yeah, I'm proper jazzed for this still, regardless of what how substantial or unsubstantial it turns out to be. I like Somnium Files. I like that world. I like those characters. Whatever they're
Yeah.
doing
I mean,
will
I
be
do
entertaining
too.
enough, I'm sure.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see. Ninja Gaiden Ragebound as well. If you're into more old school.
I probably won't pick that up then, but I think the physical release comes out like a few months later when it's quieter. I might look into it at that point.
Hell yeah. Uh,
Will be what I do.
August is a pretty quiet month. You've obviously got the new Mafia game coming out, which, if you're into that, Godspeed. Hellblade gets its PS5 release if you have not played that yet. Drag X Drive for Nintendo Switch 2 for all 5 people that think, ooh, do you know what I'd like to do? I'd like to play a grayscale basketball game where I have to fucking move the Joy-Con in the most uncomfortable way
Rocket
possible.
League, but they forgot to make it fun.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Hell yeah. Well, you know what? I think I've got to say fair play to Nintendo. I think it's a really bold move to make a really inaccessible game about a accessible sport. I think that's really cool. Um,
Yeah, it's fascinating.
oh yeah, dude, yeah. What were they thinking? I guess we'll find out in August. Uh, Other than that, you've got your regular sports game shite, and then when we actually get to the end of the month, you've got quite a few things here. Dying Light: The Beast, which was an expansion that's turned into a full game. If you're a fan of Dying Light, Gears of War Reloaded. If you're a PlayStation fan who's never played Gears of War, there's your chance. Helldivers 2. It's happening on the same day. I don't know. This feels to me, Hunter, like that day in World War One where they just came out of the trenches and played football together. I feel like that's this day
Oh
because
yeah,
it's
yeah, a
like,
little peace treaty.
yeah, they're doing a little peace treaty. We get, PlayStation fans get Gears of War, Xbox fans get Helldivers. We do a shake, and then they start firing at each other the next day. It's there. Um, Kirby and the Forgotten Land comes out at the end of August. I'm actually looking forward to that. The Switch 2 edition. And Metal
Sword
Gear's
of
the
the
same day.
Sea.
Sword of the Sea.
Yeah. Lost Soul comes out the same day as Metal Gear. I'm picking both of those up because I'm interested in.
Big baller that one.
Yeah, I'm interested in Lost Soul. It looks like a cool action game. I'm real sad that they delayed it out of Elden Ring's window, only to go on top of a Metal Gear Solid,
Yeah,
which better financially for them probably because I feel like you know
it's an
it'll be
interesting
less
one,
of an
isn't it? Metal Gear's
issue,
an interesting one. Yeah.
but it's a little annoying for me personally because it's not that annoying because like I can beat Metal Gear Solid 3 in a day.
Hell yeah. Uh, don't worry, guys. We're into September. There are such big hitters, such as for some reason they've made another Damon X Machina. No one asked for that, but Godspeed, everybody. Everybody's golf hot shots. If you are a golf enjoyer, hey, chances are it might be better than the next Mario Golf game. So get in early, guys, if you feel like it. Who knows? Um, Borderlands 4. What are we thinking, Hunter? Are we thinking it's better or
Um,
worse than Borderlands 3 on Open Critic? Because we don't care. We'll think it's shit either way.
the
You getting over?
previews would give me the impression that it will be a little better.
I do too. Borderlands 3, I played Borderlands 3 and I wasn't too impressed by it, really. It felt like a PS3 game in 2018 and it just didn't do anything for me. Um, so yeah, you'd hope that Borderlands 4 would be a step in the right direction, but also it's Randy Pitchford and Gearbox. You never know with that. They
That's
made
very
another
true.
Tales from the Borderlands, and I believe it's a war crime.
I do think we made the official motion to canonize that. Yeah.
Yeah. Silent Hill F later in September. Silent Hill F and Sonic Racing Crossworlds. I believe this is like Barbenheimer, dude. What are we calling this? I don't
Oh
know.
yeah.
Uh, Silent Racing F. That's what we'll call it, dude. There we go. Perfect.
Sonic Hills.
Yeah, Sonic Hills F Crossworlds, dude. There we go. Perfect.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
I didn't think Silent Hill F was gonna come out this year. I'm still
I didn't think it was going to come
mildly
out this
surprised, but
decade, to be honest.
I'm still relatively surprised by that. But ever since they revealed all those things a few years ago, this has been the one that I was expecting to be good the most. So it'd be cosmically funny if it was bad, and you know the remake of 2 was the quality that it was. But I expect it to be good. I'm interested in it. It's cool to see like Silent Hill is already like a Japanese horror series, but it was always kind of in this like intersection between Japanese people trying to make kind of like a Stephen King, Twin Peaks, Western
Hmm.
horror kind of thing. It'll be interesting to see their own take on kind of the other end of the spectrum.
Yeah, it will. I'm interested in seeing how it turns out. Obviously, I'm not going to play it because I am a coward. But psychological horror, not my bag. But Godspeed. Sonic. As for Sonic Racing Crossworlds, previews for this seem to be pretty positive. Hopefully, it's back to more of a return to form, like Sonic and All Stars Racing Transformed, which was a better kart racer than Mario Kart 7. So, just saying. Uh, this game looks fun. I probably won't pick it up just because one, I'm not a huge Sonic person. I think I've played about 2 or 3 Sonic games in my entire life. And second point, I feel like buying a Sonic game is just a bad investment because in about 2 months' time it's going to be half the price. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't feel like worth it. And like unless you're a
Dude,
huge Sonic fan, it doesn't feel like it's worth it.
the holiday sale in the next couple of months will probably have it discounted. You're right.
So yeah, who knows? Maybe I'll pick it up though. Maybe I'll give it a chance. Maybe the previews will do it. Maybe it's better than Mario. We didn't talk about Mario Kart World. We never talked about Mario Kart World, and I think that says enough about Mario Kart World. I talked about
I
it a little
kind of
bit.
just, in my head, I think I just lumped it in with you saying you wished Donkey Kong came out with the launch.
You know what? I'll put it in the timestamp because it'll be funny. Forgot Mario Kart World. I'll talk about it now really quickly. Mario Kart World is a disappointment. I don't really care for it that much. It's a game where I think everybody um, expected more. And You know, I think the open world's a cool mechanic, but the lack of a collectible track or anything like that makes it very awkward to try and actually go and complete the open world.
Yeah.
And the courses are fun, but my god, the racing between the intermission tracks is what the community has dubbed it. But racing from course to course and having that be the main mode for everything, like if you play random races, you're 90% of the time just playing the race between the tracks and not the actual tracks, is a really dumb mechanic, which makes me hate playing online worldwides. I just don't do it. Knockout Tour is brilliant, though. I think Knockout Tour is excellent.
Even just because a week or two ago, Kyle was streaming some of it, and even just kind of watching it there, something seemed a little off. Like my remark was, items are going off all the time, but it seems to barely inconvenience anybody.
Yeah, it's just like it is just like being stuck in the middle of a war zone. Really, the main strategy
Yeah,
is
yeah.
just stay in 25th. 25th that doesn't make good. Stay in 24th. And you'll like literally, it's literally because all the intermission tracks are just straight lines. It's literally just stay stay in last until the very last lap, which is on an actual track, and then play the game because you'll end up in the top 10 every time if you do it that way. There's no point staying in first because there's literally no benefit. You just suffer the entire time. Um, it just like feels like it could be such a brilliant game, you know? It feels like if they patched it in the right way, if there were enough, if they made it so that worldwides were just the actual courses that you want to play and not these intermission tracks. Intermission tracks is for Knockout Tour. That's what Knockout Tour is driving on these intermission tracks, and that's cool. It feels good in that way. You know, online feels unplayable because of the lack of actual courses that you play. It's something like random used to guarantee you a track. They patched it so that it doesn't now, and you can get intermission tracks 80% of the time. So it's like, what's the point in playing? I don't want to play straight lines. Like that's boring. Like my god, I just don't think they get it. Also, battle mode is way worse than it was in Mario Kart 8 because it has two. It's like instead of 5 game modes, it has two. So they just took out 3 game modes and they were the 3 best game modes, which is funny. So why they did that, I have no clue.
So they can sell them back to you with an expansion
Probably.
in a couple of years.
Um, and yeah, that's all I have to say about Mario Kart. Really, I think it's a big disappointment. The reason that again work's been a bitch, so it's been one of those reviews that has been dropped, and I don't know if I'll ever have chance to finish it. Maybe I will, but yeah, it just makes me sad because it's like the potential is there and I like a lot of what they're doing. I think it looks phenomenal. I think the music, it's got one of the best soundtracks in video games that I can remember in recent memory. Um, the gameplay for the most part feels pretty solid. It is just the item balance is not bad either. It is just the fact that the game almost says fuck you. I don't want you to have fun. Drive in straight line. Like that's what the game is. It's like Nintendo. Everyone realized that random was choosing 3 tracks, and Nintendo went, "That's a bug." Not, "Oh, we should keep that," or "Oh, that's saying to me that people
Yeah.
want to play more 3 lap tracks." They just went, "No, that's a bug."
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just,
It
it's
seems
very
like
silly. It's
the
very silly.
structure of it is at odds with actually enjoying the moment to moment game.
It's very silly. But hey ho, back to upcoming games. Am I right? That's all I had to say. And I don't know what you're thinking, guys. Why did you have to do that? And it's because Ethan's already made the thumbnail and Mario Kart World was on the thumbnail. So if I do not specifically talk about that, people will get mad. Um anyway, we were in the middle of June and I think I was about to say that Final Fantasy Tactics was getting a remaster.
Yeah, that's another one for the Christmas list. I still can't believe that they didn't give that the HD 2D treatment.
It's fucking bullshit, dude. It's absolute bullshit.
Like,
I know last year I was going on a tirade saying, "Hey, I think HD 2D is used too much." That didn't mean Square to stop. Like, it was more like a, "Hey, you know, you can." do more than just HD 2D all the time, but they were like, okay, you either get HD 2D or you get nothing. And I'm like, okay, I'll take the HD 2D. I'm sorry, please.
Yeah,
Yeah, it just feels like a mistake, especially because they're doing everything else. Like they're doing new voice acting for the games and everything like that. It feels like you
yeah,
should
yeah.
just have done HD 2D.
Especially because every time they do it, it seems like they find a new way to forward the presentation of it.
Yeah. Um, it's bizarre. Anyway, in October, a date that everyone will remember, October 2nd, the new game of the year comes out, Ghost of Yotei. We here at the HGO podcast love Ghost of Tsushima. If you go back to our original episodes about it, I believe we said something like greatest game ever made. Was that something I think we were saying? Yeah.
I don't know if I ever bandied that around, but we did say it looked very nice.
Yeah, and we didn't like the gameplay. Um, Yeah, I'm looking forward to Ghost of Yotei. I'm not gonna lie, I'm very lukewarm on it. Like, I will be buying it and I'll be playing it to see what it's about, but I'm not itching. I'm not itching at the. I'm not trigger happy. I'm like, I need it. I don't need it. If it got delayed
Yeah,
to
like
26, I would not really be that sad.
yeah. That's the thing is like a lot of people went very gaga over Ghost of Tsushima. And I would say my opinion of it is slightly higher than yours and Kyle's, still lower than everyone else's.
I feel like the way that everybody else talks about how indifferent they feel towards Horizon, that's how I feel about Ghost in terms of a franchise.
Yeah, yeah, it is. Yeah,
I
that's
want to
about
love it,
accurate for
and
me.
I want I want it on the record. I'm a huge Sucker Punch fan. Like I've played every Sucker Punch game. I even played Rocket Robot on Reels, and I Ghost of Tsushima is my least favorite Sucker Punch game, and I've played all of them. And it's not
Yeah,
like you know I I love Infamous. I love Infamous too. I think Infamous Second Son. I played Infamous Second Son first, so I have a soft spot for it. Uh, I think it's
it's
fantastic
too
as
much
well.
hate.
Yeah, it gets too much hate. I think it's pretty good. Is it as good as Infamous 2? No. Is it better than Infamous 1? I kind of think it is, just because Infamous 1 is a clunky bastard of a video game. I love it to death, but it's a clunky bastard. Um, the Sly games are some of my favorite platformers of all time. I absolutely adore them. I should love Ghost of Yotei, and I'm really hoping that Ghost of Yotei is that Assassin's Creed 2 moment where I'm like, I get it and I love it. But everything that I've seen so far doesn't suggest that. And I'm like, I don't know why. It's just like I want to like it. I hope I like it. The fact that they've said the magic words of non-linear again, I'm like, fucking. Is this the second non-linear fucking feudal Japan game I've got to play this year? God damn it! I'm like, no.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I I expect I'll like it probably a little more than Tsushima if we just on the law of equals improving things somehow. But you know, I don't expect to be blown away by it or anything like that. I'll
I'm
still
going
play it
in
because
with the expectations that PlayStation has put upon us from the last decade, which is like God of War Ragnarok to God of War 2018, Horizon Forbidden West to Horizon Zero Dawn, where it's like, oh, they're better, and from from certain standpoints they are better video games, but it is also fundamentally the exact same. So it's like the issues that I
yeah,
have with Ghost of Tsushima I know are not going to be fixed because I know that it's going to be an incremental improvement. It's not going to be a radical improvement on the original. I'd like to be proven wrong. And like I say, the idea of being able to do any of the bosses at any time really does scare me because that suggests to me that narrative is not going to be that great. But
yeah.
we'll see. We'll see. I'd love to come back here in October and go, guys, I changed my mind. Freaking
Mhm.
masterpiece, dude. Um. Anyway, Little Nightmares 3 finally got a release date, October 10th. People
Oh
like
yeah,
those
that
games.
did happen, didn't it? It's given
And
you like a if you pre-order it now or something, you get like an enhanced version of the first game
yes, you
for
do.
no additional cost. I think if you wait until after the game comes out,
It's a free
you have to
upgrade.
buy it. Oh, is it?
Yeah. If you own the
Oh,
original
nice.
Little Nightmares, I think it's either a free upgrade or it's like a small fee to upgrade it to the the enhanced edition, but it's early access is pre-order, I believe, if I remember
Uh,
correctly. Could be wrong on that one. Um, Pokemon
well, that's
Legends
neat.
ZA, October 16th. Prove me wrong, Nintendo. I think you've taken all the personality out of what Pokemon Legends was. Prove me wrong. I still think this game looks fun. The idea of the city coming to life at night and everybody wanting to battle each other in the streets feels very fun in the way of this should have been Gen 8. This is the British Pokemon game, dude. Is at night they come out with the knives and the Pokemon. This is what Gen 8 should have been.
That be that does sound like it would go really well with like the kind of soccer hooligan
Yeah, London Town, mate.
vibe that they
London
were
Town, mate.
trying
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
that that they were trying to cultivate with the stadium battles and stuff as you were going through the gyms.
Yeah. The idea of these, yeah, the the gang war culture of this is that looks fun. I don't like the idea of these open zones being in the city. It's just the idea of the interesting thing for the Pokemon Legends game, Arceus for me was going back to a region in the past that you've been to before, but Hisui is it is a it's Sinnoh, but it's Sinnoh from like 600 years ago. So it's everything about that game is just a vibe because it is just open fields and rebuilding Jubilife, which is the big city of Pokemon Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, and it's just it's it's going to a random area hunter and then realizing that that's one of the lakes where you met like one of the three like Mesprit and Azelf and stuff like that, and then it just starts
Oh
playing
yeah.
their theme ever slightly through the background as like a remix, and it just blends in, and it's just like little bits and pieces like that where you're just like, oh, it just hits. Whereas this is just it's Kalos and it's Lumiose from Kalos and it's set about 50 years after X and Y. And I'm like, oh, I don't care then. You've lost me from a story perspective.
Oh man, I can't believe Nintendo took the wrong lessons from Expedition 33 and they only thought that gamers cared about it being French.
Yeah, I know, right? What a shame. But I'm still gonna play it, and I'm still hoping that it'll be fantastic. Because I love Legends Arceus. Honestly, my dream next direct when they give like the final trailer for Legends EA, they also go, and to celebrate, out now there's a Nintendo Switch 2 update for Pokemon Legends Arceus, so you can get up to date, and it's in 60 FPS. And I go, thank you, you've made my favorite Pokemon game good again, and I don't have to play ZA. Uh, anyway, day after that, Keeper, Double Fine's first game in 4 years.
Oh man, yeah.
And it's from the weird
Take
team.
it.
It's the Lee Petty team, the guys that did Stacking and all these other weird games that they liked. I can't. What's the other one called? It was like Rad,
Oh,
RAD, um,
this game had a good showing with
Headlander.
its reveal trailer. I thought, oh, Headlander, that was a good one.
It's the same team. Yeah, that's the Lee Petty
Yeah.
side of it. Yeah, I believe. Yeah, it had a great trailer. You were right. Sorry, you were saying.
Yeah, yeah, it had a really good showing. I think the idea of being this little lighthouse crab guy going on your adventure is a very pleasing notion.
It looks like a blast, and I can't wait to play it. It looks like one of those games that'll be like 8 hours tops, and you'll get through it. You'll have a great time, and I'm looking forward to playing another Double Fine game again with the whole Xbox situation. I get scared, and I'm like, oh, these are the kind of games that I
Dude,
feel like
th-
will Double Fine live
I've
through the Xbox turmoil.
I like that you and I both have our own teams under Xbox that we're like afraid for, and then we're afraid on each other's behalves for the other one too.
Yeah, dude. Like, I think the issue, like, we've had this conversation this past week, like just in the DMs where we're like, I feel like Double Fine would be more of a Toys for Bob situation where Xbox would be probably willing to sell the studio back to Tim Schafer. Um,
Yeah,
Either that, or if they did shut down Double Fine, I made the joke to you that you'd that give Tim Schafer a month and there'll be a company called Triple Fine that's established and he hires everybody back because that seems
yeah,
like
or
the kind
like
of thing
single
he'd
nice
do.
or something. It'd be
Yeah.
very funny.
Um. But yeah, I am scared for both Ninja Theory and for Double Fine, to be honest, and I hope the best. And I am gonna play Keeper when it comes out. Um, again, it's another game where it's like, hell yeah, I'll be playing that as soon as it comes out. It'll be good. I'm looking forward to it. I wish that this is one of the ones that's only on Xbox where I'm like, this one should have gone everywhere. I think this would have
Yeah, it would be
especially
nice.
have been good for Switch as well.
It would be a good one. It would be a good shout. This could be one of those cases where if Switch had distributed the dev kits sooner,
Enough
maybe.
time, yeah,
Yeah.
maybe. Anyway, a couple of days after that, Jurassic World Evolution 3 and Ninja Gaiden 4. Hunter, I assume you will be participating potentially in Ninja Gaiden 4.
Um, unless something else comes out in between Ghost of, like if no, they
Well,
wouldn't
Keeper
choose
is
to.
out, but yeah,
Yeah,
other than
but
that,
I don't
and
have the
Legends,
chance
you're a
to play
Pokemon
that one
Legends
yet.
EA.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't have to worry about Metroid counter programming this, I guess. So I probably will
Unless,
play this, yeah.
unless,
Unless. So I probably will pick this one up. I'm interested in it. I've always been Ninja Gaiden's kind of been the one of these as far as the 3D hack and slash games that got away, because for the longest time they were only on Xbox. And then coming to it years later, I'm very confused about where to start. So,
yeah,
because there's like 7 versions of these games
totally.
across each one, so I think hopping in at 4 and working my way backwards is probably just going to be the way to go. And good to see Platinum get something to do.
Work, yeah.
Yeah, I
Uh,
hope they can maintain something to do as time goes on.
End of October is pretty busy. Obviously, I'll mention Double Dragon Revive just so somebody, whoever cares, says yes. That's my thing that I'm looking forward to. Good for you.
It's
I'll
it's
Yeah.
funny because like I'm probably not going to pick that up at launch, but because of my affinity for River City Girls now, I've kind of got like this built-in secondary interest in all of these when they get announced,
Yeah, but it's not going to
even
be as
though it's
good.
not like
Yeah.
the same thing, is kind of in the same orbit. So I'm sitting there like, maybe.
End of the month, you've got Outer Worlds 2 coming out, which I'm slightly interested in. I'll probably give it what I will call the Avowed treatment, where I will at least give it a couple of hours and see if I like it or not. Maybe it hooks me unlike Avowed, but we'll see. Um, you also have the Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD 2D remakes coming out on October 30th, and Mina the Hollow are on October 31st, so there's quite a bit there
Oh
if you're
yeah,
interested in any of those.
super jazzed for Mino the Hollower, despite the 18-point crowbar to the shin it's gonna give my fantasy critic score. But
And then there's
I
really
think it'll.
nothing in November so far, anyway, that's dated that where we need to really talk
Yeah,
about
I
here.
don't.
Um,
Yeah.
but there are a couple of games that obviously could technically still release by the end of the year. There'll obviously be your normie stuff. Your EAFCs, your Call of Duty Black Ops 7s. Um, Hunter's favorite trailer at the Xbox show. Um,
Oh my god. It was going great until it was Call of Duty.
that's how they get you. Don't worry, I will be partaking because I must see how they massacre zombies for another year in a row. It's gonna be great. Uh, Hollow Knight Silk Song. It's slated for this year. It's slated to launch before the ROG Ally, Xbox Ally launches, which is holiday this year. Hunter, do you think this is the year of Hollow Knight Silk Song?
I don't know. Honestly, despite Xbox claiming that you can't take them at their word anymore, so
True, but I am sitting here and I'm like,
uh,
I don't know. In my head, I'm like, I feel like this is the year. They showed too much gameplay at that Xbox show. You know what I mean? On that screen, like they were just letting it hang while that for that entire trailer. Where I'm like, that looks to me like the game is done or close to being done. Like where it's like
I mean maybe, but it didn't really look any different from just a little bit more of the little bit they showed at the Switch thing, or it didn't really look that different from what they showed when they showed it the first time.
I mean, I think it's because they hung on it for like 50 seconds to a
Yeah.
minute. I think that's the thing where it's like that to me looked less like a trailer and more like Xbox had like a gameplay showcase of Hollow Knight where they were playing through a level and they just had a long footage bit and they just you know did some editing to
Yeah,
rasterize it on that instead of being like, hey guys, can you give us some trailer footage for Hollow Knight Silksong? It felt more like they were playing a build and they just took a screen recording of it, which to me is a
I don't
better
know.
sign. It
The
didn't look cherry
classic,
picked.
yeah, yeah, team cherry picked. The classic joke so far for this game has been since earlier this year when they were like, "Oh, it's going to be shown off at like some kind of Australian museum thing," is that it just skips public consumption.
Yeah, true. That's in September, so hopefully we find out the date before then.
Yeah,
There's obviously the big three from Nintendo that still don't have dates. That is Metroid Prime 4, Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, and Kirby Air Riders. My guesses for all of those are uh, there's nothing in September, so September seems to be a free month for Nintendo. I would probably put Metroid in September. I'd put Hyrule Warriors in November and Kirby Air Riders in December. That's probably the order that I will go with on that. Although I could also see them being flipped and Hyrule Warriors coming first. It just depends on.
yeah, I could see that being the case. Yeah, mid September I feel like would be a solid place for Metroid. Out long enough for me to just on my own personal calendar, out long enough for me to have played Metal Gear and Lost Soul Aside, and also have enough time to play it before Ghost of Yotei comes out. Otherwise, I'll be playing a day of Ghost of Yotei and making it sit and wait until I'm done.
Was there anything else you wanted to mention in terms of game
Uh,
releases for the rest of the year?
Coffee Talk Tokyo is
Yeah.
undated so far, and I'm still super jazzed for that whenever it happens. There are a
Yuka
couple of other
Replay
things.
is also still slated for this year, which I'm interested to see if they can fix the original ukulele because that game was very flawed. Um, Playtonic have also just had a massive load of layoffs, so that's always fun. So I'm like,
Oh
I
no.
will probably support it just because I like the studio, and I would not like that studio to die, especially with what's happened to Rare recently, with
Oh
Greg
yeah.
Mails leaving and stuff
Sure.
like that. I'm like, okay, I kind of want to at least let you live, like try and keep you living until Ukulele 2, so you can have a full shot. But also, it's been what nearly a decade since Ukulele 1. You've had time. What are you doing?
Yeah,
It's
but
a
a
weird one.
couple of other things in like the indie space. Unbeatable is this cool looking rhythm adventure game that doesn't have a date yet, but it's supposed to come out this year that I'm interested in.
Oh yeah,
Um, there's this 2D action platformer called Possessors from Heart Machine, the Hyper Light Drifter devs that's
oh yeah,
supposed to come out sometime this year that I'm interested in. I think Toem 2 got pushed out of the year, which is a bummer, but I'll play it when it comes out.
yeah. That's cool. One final one that I wanted to mention, if I can remember what it was. What was it? I mentioned Coffee Talk. Well, it was an indie game. I can't remember what it was. Now I'm trying to. It's gonna be Witchbrook. That's it. Witchbrook. It's like a little indie, like looks very similar in aesthetic to Fields of Mysteria and like Stardew Valley, but it's like you're a witch going to a witch school and then you go around piss about and stuff like that. If you're into cozy games, that seems like a cozy game for you if you are up for that. Um, anyway, I think that's everything. Like genuinely, looking at the second half of the year, I'm not gonna lie, it's a bit quieter on my front than usual. Obviously, I've got a Double Fine game, so that's always fun, and there's a few bits and pieces here and there. But if you're wondering why I did spend stupid money on controllers and stuff like that, it's because I'm probably going to have a lot of downtime to play backlog games this autumn, which is, hey, can't complain. I've had a good first half of the year. Um,
Yeah.
but, there's still some fun stuff to come, and who knows, maybe there'll be some surprises along the way. You never know.
Yeah.
November is looking pretty dead, I'm not going to lie. It looks like everybody was expecting GTA 6 to show up in November and avoided it like the plague. So
I'm okay with November being a little easy, a little
I'm not. It's my
quieter.
birthday month. I need things. It's our birthday month, Hunter. I need things.
I know what you mean, but I feel like using November and December to, just play the things I might have missed is fine. Having a year where I can do my top 10 a little bit in advance would be nice.
No, we must have a Game of the Year contender on December 5th. It is the way.
Yeah.
But hey, it's all fun. Let us know what you guys are looking forward to. And yeah, I guess we'll leave it right there. I'll put our links on screen right now. If they work, there we go. You can follow us on Twitter if you want to keep up to date what we do outside of the podcast. Yeah, I'm going to wrap it here. It's been a long one. As always,
Yeah.
I always think it's like, oh, we can get through this pretty quickly. We never do. We never do, ladies and gentlemen. But hey, next week, we've got video games to talk about. Tony Hawk's out next week.
Sure do.
So we'll be talking about Tony Hawk Pro Skater. Was there something else that's also coming out next week as well, other than Tony Hawk? I can't remember. Did we say something? I don't remember.
I don't think I'm picking up anything else, but
I definitely won't be. Don't worry about me. So we'll just say
yeah.
it's Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. And who knows? Maybe we'll talk about other things that we've been playing. Maybe Cal will be back. Who knows? I don't. But yeah, that's all for this week, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We'll be back same time, same place next week for more. But until then, it's back to the mines for me and Hunter. Off we go.
Yep.
We'll see you next week. Will we have finished Death Stranding 2? You'll have to tune in to find out. But until then, have an awesome week. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Bye.
Toodaloo.